Chapter 453. After a few times, many people felt that the word holographic was similar to the wolf is coming. After watching the commercial, they felt that it might be another scam. Fortunately, the word fantasy gave them some confidence. With the popularity of live streaming, the development of virtual simulators had made many people remember this company. It was this company that allowed a single language interaction to be able to smell, eat, and even touch. This was a groundbreaking development. At that time, some people had speculated that if one day someone could turn virtual reality into reality, that person would definitely come from fantasy. And now, this prophecy had come true. They had really developed a holographic game and brought it here. I went out and did a search. The background of this company is quite mysterious. It feels like a small company that suddenly appeared out of nowhere. They created virtual simulators and now a holographic game. I suddenly feel a little excited. I don't care. Based on this commercial, I want to play this game. At worst, I'll be scammed again. Where can I find the address of this game? How can I buy a gaming pod and gaming helmet? Weiwei is awesome, Luo Indie is awesome. Just based on the fact that Weiwei is endorsing this game and the scenes in the game are so beautiful, I want to play it too. Rounding it up, it's me and Weiwei playing the game together. After the anti-fans realized that they couldn't change the rhythm and attack Luo Weebing with this endorsement, they began to ridicule this game for being an ordinary holographic game. To think that so many brainless fans believed it. They were really stupid and had a lot of money. Luo Weebing's fans didn't care. If it was an ordinary game, they might be a little disappointed. However, this was a holographic game, the world's first holographic game. It was a holographic game that game fans dreamed of. They believed that their idol wouldn't casually endorse a deceptive game, so this game was most likely real. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been released so close to the game. As long as it was real, they could imagine how popular this game would be in the near future. As the spokesperson of this game would bring Luo Weebing a lot of popularity and traffic. Understanding this, Luo Weebing's fans calmed down. With resources in hand, they could laugh at a mad dog. The more you scold them now, the more popular their brother will be in the future. Before they woke up from the happiness of being hit by the giant pie falling from the sky, Luo Weebing, who had been scolded not long ago, finally stood up and sent a long Weibo to respond to the dirty water that some people had poured on him before. First of all, the director of a certain production team accused him of acting like a big shot. He had clearly promised to join the production team as the main lead, but he went back on his word right before the start of filming. Luo Weebing said that he did receive an invitation from the crew, but he refused him in front of the director from the beginning. However, the director did not give up. Later, he contacted his former manager, hoping to change his mind through him. At that time, he had less than a month left on his contract with the company. His agent had tried to negotiate with him many times, but his attitude was firm and he refused until he completely terminated his contract with his old management company. Therefore, he had never agreed to join the crew, nor did he have any written or verbal agreement with the crew. If they still wanted to pin the blame on him, then he had nothing to say. Chapter 454. Then there was the female star who suddenly jumped out and said that he sexually harassed her and was pregnant with his child. Luo Weebing simply responded, "He has never had a relationship with any woman beyond friends since he was so old. Please respect yourself." The hidden meaning was, "Thank you for your invitation. I am still a virgin and have no ability to make any woman pregnant. The child in your belly belongs to whoever you like. Anyway, it's not mine." Finally, he and Su Yiyan were photographed in the hospital and were rumored to be kept as mistresses. He made the new boss pregnant by the unspoken rules and changed the company. Luo Weebing only sent a few medical records of his sister, indicating that it was his sister who was treated in the hospital. As the new boss of Luo Weebing's agency, Su Yiyan appeared in the hospital and was in the same frame with him because she went to the hospital to visit his sister. However, manager Xia of the company and his current agent were also with him at that time. Those photos only showed the scene of Su Yiyan discussing his sister's condition with him. In addition, the doctor who treated his sister was also arranged by the company. For this reason, he was very grateful to the company for saving his sister. He didn't regret choosing this humane company as his starting point. Luo Weibing's fans almost burst into tears when they saw his response. They said that they had known that Luo Weibing was not such a person. They felt sorry that he was slandered with such a good new boss. But there were still a considerable number of people who didn't believe Luo Weibing's response and even thought that he was deliberately quibbling. Because his response seemed to be reasonable, but except for the medical records, there was no substantial evidence at all. Without evidence, it meant that he was not completely innocent. But these people also forgot that this kind of thing was originally a matter of who argued and who provided evidence. These people who suddenly appeared to reprimand Luo Weibing only relied on their words. They didn't give evidence from the beginning to the end. They believed in the rumor and turned a blind eye to the sincere explanation of the party. They also shouted to him to hand over the evidence. Otherwise, how could it be said that Luo Weibing, the party involved, was miserable because of the rumor? Luo Weibing's protection of Dongqing and Su Yan unsurprisingly annoyed his old boss. In their opinion, they have paid a lot of things for Luo Weibing over the years. Luo Weibing patted his ass and left as soon as the contract period was over. He should be suffered by them. As a result, Luo Weibing resisted and praised the new company. Isn't this a roundabout irony that their old company is not good to him? At the moment, he forwarded Luo Weibing's post and said that he respected Luo Weibing's choice. Their company was too small to accommodate the Buddha. At the same time, he bought a group of water army, accusing Luo Weibing of disobeying the company's control during the contract period. Obviously, he had already found the next company and vowed to put the hat of ingratitude on Luo Weibing's head. This has angered those old fans who have been fans of Luo Weibing since his debut and have followed him through countless ups and downs. At first, I thought that since my brother had worked in a black-hearted company for 6 to 7 years, there should be some affection. Let's part on good terms. We won't bother about the filthy things that the dog company did to our brother in the past. Now, this lousy company is obviously treating our tolerance as weakness and is beginning to distort the truth and step on my brother to suck his blood. Then, we have to properly settle the score. Chapter 455. Passers-by may not know the oppression that Luo Weibing has suffered over the years, but his true love fans remember it better than anyone else. If they arrange a lot of work for him, they know that Luo Weibing's family is not good and he needs money. If he has a job, he can make money. Even if many jobs are not worthy of his position, even if he is often tired like a dog. But what really makes Luo Weibing's fans sick is that this agency and his former agent really do all kinds of dirty operations. For example, a program or crew only invited Luo Weibing, and the company had to add another family member in the company to let Luo Weibing sign with the other party. If this family member is a moldable talent, it's okay. But the reason why the family member can become a family member is that he has no strength and wants to take a shortcut. Because of this binding agreement, the company and Luo Weibing's former agent made Luo Weibing bear a lot of blame and lose a lot of cooperation partners. What's more, most of Luo Weibing's anti-fans are gathered because of these dirty things. A few years ago, Luo Weibing was still their own artist. The company expected that he still had some value. Although it was disgusting, it was not too much. In the past 1 or 2 years, Luo Weibing's contract period was approaching, and his sister just happened to be seriously ill. The company divided some of his resources to other newcomers in the company on the grounds that something happened to his family and he couldn't take too much work in a short time. Not only did they take away the resources he should have, but they also deliberately let people publish articles to show the humanity of their company, causing a large number of media to rush to the hospital, just to find out what disease Luo Weibing's sister had, how was the treatment now, and whether her life was in danger. Luo Weibing and his sister were harassed several times. Finally, they had to transfer overnight, but they still couldn't completely get rid of these annoying reporters. This matter has been enough to make Luo Weibing's fans sick. Later, in order to be able to observe her idol closely, she specially applied for the internal staff of her former agency. In addition to squeezing Luo Weibing to promote the newcomers, the company's bigger purpose was to create how good the company was to him and force Luo Weibing to renew the contract with them. Because such a good and humane company, If Luo Weibing transferred to another company in his heyday, he would undoubtedly be labeled as ungrateful. After knowing this, Luo Weibing's fans were disgusted. On the one hand, they were looking forward to Luo Weibing's contract expiring as soon as possible and leaving this bloodsucking company. On the other hand, they were worried that Luo Weibing couldn't bear the pressure and continued to waste time in this dog company or leave the company. Therefore, as soon as he saw that someone had exposed the black material and someone was trying to fish in troubled waters, singing about how good Luo Weibing's former agency was to him and how ungrateful he was, he knew that it must have something to do with his agency. Unfortunately, as soon as they opened their mouths, they would be beaten into saying, "What kind of idol has what kind of fans?" Luo Weibing is ungrateful, and his fans are also blind. No one was willing to believe them, just like they clearly helped to clarify that Luo Weibing was in the hospital because his relatives were sick, not because Su Yiyan was pregnant, but they were pressed to the bottom by countless Water Army anti-fans, and it was hard to see the light of day. Su Yiyan's response gave them confidence that Luo Weibing's new company would not give up on him. In this case, they could also let go of their hands and feet and tear up this evil former agency. Chapter 456. Dongqing and Hua Chenwan's programmers didn't let them down. Su Yiyan attracted some firepower and won some time for them to investigate and collect evidence. Not long after Luo Weibing's statement was released, Dongqing's official account gave the evidence that the public wanted. First of all, the director who accused Luo Weibing of being untrustworthy and having no spirit of contract. Dongqing got the chat records of him and Luo Weibing's agent. From the records, it showed that the director began to talk to Luo Weibing's agent more than a month ago, asking him if he could persuade Luo Weibing to take over the show. Luo Weibing's agent promised, but hinted that the director could persuade Luo Weibing, but he had to give him some benefits. The director was also good and directly transferred a lot of money to Luo Weibing's agent. After that, it was a month of tug-of-war. The latest chat record between the two was yesterday. When the director learned that Luo Weibing had terminated his contract with the agency and transferred to another company, he contacted the former agent immediately and asked him to return the money. The former agent asked himself that he had made a lot of efforts these days, but Luo Weibing didn't listen. He was determined to terminate the contract with the company, which made him be scolded by his boss and the directors and advertisers who had been good before. He didn't want to hand over the money, so he told the director that the company was ready to deal with Luo Weibing and his agency. Luo Weibing would be ruined after this. It was better to take advantage of this opportunity to make a wave of popularity. The director was moved. The reason why he insisted on Luo Weibing taking over the role was to take advantage of his popularity. Now there was a ready-made way. Why not? Just like that, the two of them happily finalized the plan. They probably never thought that these things that they thought were private would be dug out so quickly and even made public. When the director saw the chat record, he felt that his eyes were dark. He called Luo Weibing's former agent directly, because the chat record showed that the receiver was the other side. "Pu Wei, you hurt me. Wait, it's not over." After that, he didn't give the other side a chance to explain and hung up the phone directly. Pu Wei was also confused. He was sure that he had never shown these chat records to anyone. Why did the other side have such a detailed chat record? Could it be that the other party had hacked his account? When he thought up to here, Pu Wei felt a chill run down his spine, and he kept having the feeling that things were about to get worse. As it turned out, his premonition was quite accurate. As soon as Dongqing's chat record was sent out, Luo Weibing's fans suddenly exploded. As expected, it's this trashy company and trashy manager. I knew that our brother isn't the kind of person who acts like a big shot just because he's famous. This trashy manager and this trashy director are heartless. Ice Cube says that she will boycott all TV series and movies made by this director in the future. A trashy director is not fit to be a human. I'm so angry. I knew that this lousy company was evil, but I didn't expect it to be this evil. Indeed, in the eyes of capitalists, there is only money and no conscience. Where are the people who were clamoring for Big Brother to show evidence? Come and take a look at the evidence you want. Does your face hurt? Even after being used as a tool, he still foolishly worked for others. Keyboard warriors only have such IQ. Chapter 457. Of course, the keyboard warriors and the water army can't just surrender. They insist that the chat records can be forged, and who can be sure that the two people who are talking are really the former agents of the director and Luo Weibing. Luo Weibing's fans were amused by their lies. They were about to roll up their sleeves and fight with them when they saw someone shouting below. Hurry up, the official blog has posted evidence again. It seems that this time, they are really going to beat these idiots to the ground. I have been a bystander for so many years, but this is the first time I'm so excited. Hurry up, let's go and see. Seeing this, Luo Weibing's fans didn't care about the water army. They refreshed the page and saw the latest news from the official blog. Dongqing Entertainment, don't be too social. Did you get our baby's permission to take over? There was an audio after the update. Luo Weibing's fans clicked on it for a few seconds. They were stunned and then became angry. There were two protagonists in the audio, a man and a woman. Man, do you really want to do this? Woman, I can't help it. The company said that if I don't have an abortion, I can only be frozen. In addition, the company will hold me responsible and ask me to pay the liquidated damages. There is a clause in the contract I signed with the company that I can't fall in love. I broke the contract. Woman, this is our child. I don't want to abort him. But if we don't abort him, how can we pay the liquidated damages? After the child is born, what kind of milk powder and diapers don't cost money? Man, I know. I'm useless. I'm just unhappy. It's obviously my child, but they say it's someone else's. Woman, this is also something that can't be helped. If this matter is true, he may help us raise our child in the future. The company has already designed to shape me as the victim. With this popularity, I may really become popular. This is the only chance for me and my child. Bear with it. After this matter, our family of 3 can live a good life. Man. Yes, my ass. You don't want to abort or pay the liquidated damages, so you can just smear an innocent passerby who has nothing to do with you? You want others to raise your child for you? Relying on sucking other people's blood to get to the top? You're living a good life, but why don't you think about what kind of criticism the person who took over the plate will receive? How miserable will he be? You're still unhappy about this? Just bear with it, okay? Truly, shameless people are invincible in this world. Luo Weibing's fans heard the end and almost exploded in place. I've never been so angry since I was born. My hand that's holding my phone is shaking. What kind of trashy woman is this? She deserves to be a nobody for the rest of her life. She knows that my brother has nothing to do with her, and she knows that the child is not my brother's, but for her own interests, she came out to slander my brother for forcing her to have a child and even asked her to have an abortion. This is the first time I have seen such a shameless woman in my life. It's a good thing that Big Brother's new company is awesome this time. Otherwise, Big Brother would definitely be the one taking over the business. He's clearly not doing anything, yet he has to raise someone else's child. Who's so disgusting? I'll say it 1,000 times. Trash companies have no heart, no heart, no heart. When he was in the company, he was robbed of his resources and forced to take the blame for a newbie. After he left, he was slandered and stepped on. What did Big Brother owe you for you to trample on him like this? Chapter 458. Luo Weibing's fans were furious, and Dongqing Entertainment also released the third piece of evidence. It directly released the video of Su Yiyan visiting Luo Siki in the hospital that day. This video was taken by a nurse in the hospital. She was a fan of Luo Weibing. When she saw Luo Weibing coming to visit Luo Siki with Su Yiyan, she secretly recorded it and prepared to keep it as a private collection. She did not expect that it would unexpectedly become an important piece of evidence. However, when the scandal between the two of them broke out, she tried to release this video to prove their innocence. He did post it, but it was deleted in less than 2 minutes. His account was also blocked. Her account was used to chase stars, and few people paid attention to it. Therefore, this video was not noticed by many people. At that time, she realized that this matter was not simple. There must be someone behind it secretly to hurt Luo Weibing. After weighing the pros and cons, she summoned up the courage to send this video to the official account of Dongxing Entertainment. Originally, she was worried that the official account would be full of emails and might not notice her so soon. Unexpectedly, in half a minute, the other party replied to her, thanking her for her help and promising to give her a certain reward and a full set of works and photos of Luo Weibing after the matter was solved. The length of the video was less than 2 minutes. The people who appeared in it were as Luo Weibing said in the statement. In addition to him and Su Yiyan, there were Xia Junxing and others. Su Yiyan first asked about Luo Siqi's physical condition. After learning that her illness was getting better, she comforted Luo Weibing and asked him to take good care of his sister. The work was not urgent for the time being. Luo Weibing's fans were moved when they saw this video. They only felt that their brother finally met a good boss after all the hardships. Boo-hoo, I was full of anger when I heard the audio before. When I saw this video, I couldn't help crying. There are still many good people in the world. My brother and sister finally made it. One of them helped without saying a word, but was used by others to criticize and slander him with extremely dirty thoughts and vicious words. The other one clearly did something disgusting, but still insisted on describing himself as a pure white lotus that grew out of the mud. He wished that everyone would know how humane he was. It's ironic to think about it. Upstairs, people really can't stand the comparison. No wonder my brother is so protective of the new company. Looking at this video and the strange statement issued by a dog company not long ago, it's really a little disgusting. I heard that the current boss of Dongxing Entertainment is a little angel, protective and handsome. I didn't think so before, but now I finally believe it. I want such a good boss. I also want such a good boss. I've been eating melon for a whole day. My brother is a good boss. Fortunately, the company signed is a good company. Of the future. Although saying this is a bit of a spoil sport, if this incident didn't involve the boss and only targeted her brother, Dongcheng probably wouldn't be so angry. I wonder if the higher-ups of the company who planned this farce are pissed to death now? Yang. Chapter 459. Luo Weibing's old boss. The senior executives who secretly wanted to use this incident to destroy Luo Weibing and his former agent were really angry. They thought that Luo Weibing signed with an unknown small company. Even if this company had a movie queen and a king, they still didn't take the other party seriously. Especially after knowing that the person in charge of this company was a woman, they subconsciously looked down on her. She was just a woman. What could she do? But reality gave them a slap in the face. The people who wanted to cause trouble didn't lose anything at all. Instead, they gained a lot of sympathy. Even the shameful things they did were exposed. Everyone gritted their teeth in anger and hurriedly held a meeting to discuss the follow-up countermeasures. However, before they could come up with any countermeasures, Su Yiyan directly declared war on them. Little Su of Huan Huan's family, I have a bad temper. If I can fight, I won't talk too much. Let's not beat around the bush. It's getting cold. Rui should go bankrupt. Rui was Luo Weibing's former agency. Seeing this post, a group of onlookers were stunned. Damn, what kind of overbearing president's declaration is this? Although she is indeed a female president? It's inexplicably exciting. You dare to mess with my artist, I'll make you bankrupt? What kind of love is this? I love such a boss. Upstairs, you're a black fan? You obviously dared to say that my husband is old and ugly. I'll mess with you. This is immortal love. Don't make a mistake. Upstairs, you dragged President Su and her husband into the water. If she doesn't make you bankrupt, her surname is not Su. Is immortal love something you can scam as you want? Haha, I actually got candy from such a Chunibu statement. Am I hopeless? Mo Fong, from today onwards, Ice Cube is a CP fan of President Su and her husband. President Su is a CP. Let's kill these evil idiots. As these people said, Su Yiyan posted this post for her husband. It would have been fine if they had only involved her. She couldn't be bothered to waste her time with these idiots. However, it was different when her husband was involved. She had caused her husband to be scolded by so many people. They even mocked him for being old and ugly. She could not let this matter go so easily. She was determined to fight to the death with this dog company. Whoever retreated was a dog. Of course, there were also some men who couldn't stand Su Yiyen's words and began to accuse Su Yiyen of bullying others. Yo, the capitalists are starting to make their move. Even a small company dared to challenge G. It wasn't certain who would swallow who. Let's wait for this stupid woman to be slapped in the face. She's so arrogant because she has a rich husband. What's there to be proud of? To put it bluntly, they are all jackals of the same tribe. Luo Weibing's fans are also stupid. Maybe people help your idol so much just for the unspoken rules. They even think she is good. They are really brainless. This woman doesn't look like a good person at first glance. Perhaps she's using her husband's money to keep a gigolo outside without being discovered. Even if it's discovered, it can be suppressed with money. The power of capital is really not what ordinary people like us can imagine. Some people were like this. They believed what they wanted to believe. Even if it was the truth, even if others explained it many times, they could selectively block it and be at ease as if they were blind. Chapter 460. Su Yiyen didn't care about these people's cheap mouths. She secretly noted down the keyboard warriors who scolded her husband and handed them over to the company's legal department to deal with. Little did she know that Hu Chenhuan did the same thing. He secretly noted down the keyboard warriors who slandered his wife and handed them over to the company's technical department to deal with. Both sides were allies. When they met, they felt like they were being forced to eat a bunch of dog food. Everyone. This is too much. After handing over the follow-up matters to the legal department, Su Yiyen returned home feeling refreshed. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Hu Chenhuan and Uncle Zhang watching Dun Dun face the wall to reflect. Su Yiyen blinked in confusion. What's wrong with Dun Dun? Hearing Su Yiyen's voice, everyone's gaze shifted to her, including Dun Dun, who was facing the wall the whole time and had his butt facing Hu Chenhuan. Woof, master, the dog's daddy bullied me. Nothing, it caused some trouble this morning. I punished it to face the wall for half an hour. She played down most of the main points. Dun Dun. I was clearly very obedient today. When did I cause any trouble? You're clearly using your position to take revenge on me and bully me for not knowing how to speak. Helplessly, this dog suffered because it didn't know how to speak. As soon as Su Yiyen heard Hu Chenhuan's words, she immediately understood and nodded. She said firmly, "This little guy is indeed becoming more and more presumptuous recently. We should discipline it. Let it squat, I'll go cook for you." Crack! This was the sound of Dun Dun's heart breaking. Sure enough, with a stepfather, there would be a stepmother. There was no way to live like this. Su Yiyen turned to enter the kitchen, but Hu Chenhuan pulled her back first. Huh? Su Yiyen looked confused. What's wrong? I'm the most handsome person in the world? When Uncle Zhang saw that the young couple had something to talk about, he tactfully left. At this moment, there was only Su Yiyen and an autistic dog left in the living room. Hearing Hu Chenhuan's words, Su Yiyen's face instantly turned red. She said rather embarrassedly, "You saw it?" She had been so confident when she posted it on the internet, but now that she was in front of the person in question, she felt inexplicably ashamed. She was indeed not thick-skinned enough. Hu Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyen's blushing face and smiled. Are you serious? Su Yiyen was slightly startled, but she quickly reacted and said with a serious face, "Of course I'm sincere. In my eyes, you're the most handsome person in the world." The smile in Hu Chenhuan's eyes deepened. He pinched her face and said, "I've already sent someone to purchase Rui. I'll hand it over to you within 3 days." But, Rui? Su Yiyen was taken aback. Didn't you say that you wanted to close it down? I did say that, but at that time, she wanted to ask her brother for help, not ask Hu Chenhuan to buy the company for her. Nothing. Hu Chenhuan seemed to have seen through her thoughts. He sighed slightly and said, "If you have any difficulties in the future, I hope that the first person you think of is me." Su Yiyen was slightly startled. After she reacted, she couldn't help but smile. Okay, I'll remember that. If I have any difficulties in the future, I'll definitely look for you first. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Huo Chenhuan's expression became better. He looked directly into Su Yiyen's eyes and said meaningfully, I heard that you were confessed to by a student at school today? Su Yiyen. Which bastard spread the news to her, and to her husband? Chapter 461. Don't misunderstand, As soon as she met Huo Chenhuan's eyes, Su Yiyen's words got stuck in her throat. She gave up and said, Yes, someone asked me if I was single. Actually, it wasn't a confession. It's just that young people are a little restless. Also, I told them clearly that I'm married. She didn't do anything, so why did she feel inexplicably guilty when asked? Su Yiyen concluded that the main reason was that she wasn't thick-skinned enough. I'm sad. Su Yiyen was caught off guard by Huo Chenhuan's sudden show of weakness. Today, there were so many people scolding you and me online. It seemed like it was because of our age, but in fact, our physical disability was also an important reason. But you're almost recovered. But the people outside don't know. Huo Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyen with deep eyes. Will those who like you think that I'm not good enough for you? Will they pursue you again? I know that I shouldn't be so suspicious, but I just can't help it. I understand. Su Yiyen didn't wait for Huo Chenhuan to finish speaking and grabbed his hand first. I know what you're worried about, and I understand your concerns. As long as it involved her, Huo Chenhuan's inferiority complex would always be there. Many people wouldn't believe that this man, who was so outstanding in the eyes of those who knew him, would actually feel inferior. Because of his physical disability, and because he cared about her, he always had some doubts about himself and worried about his gains and losses. Su Yiyen was anxious and distressed. Whether it was in this life or her previous life, this man, who was strong enough to compete with the whole world, could always easily make her heart tighten. If you don't mind being watched, you can come and pick me up when I go to school next week. Huo Chenhuan's eyes lit up. Did Su Yiyen mean that he could go and claim sovereignty at any time? Okay, I'll come and pick you up. Huo Chenhuan's restless heart calmed down a little, but suddenly a trace of other thoughts appeared. I want a compensation. What kind of compensation? Tonight, let's try the game together? Although Fantasy Feast would be officially released in 4 days, as the big boss of this game, Gu Xiaoyang had already sent the two a set of game cabins. This was a super benefit that only internal employees could enjoy. As long as you want to, you can experience anything before others. Su Yiyen agreed without hesitation. It just so happens that I'm quite curious about this holographic game. Let's play together tonight. Okay. Huo Chenhuan smiled again, holding on Su Yiyen's hand. He wanted to send the virtual world he had created to her. He wanted to take her to every corner of the world and see the scenery of the world together. The two happily decided the entertainment, meeting, activity that night. Those keyboard warriors, the director, the female artists, and Vri who stood behind them were not in such a good mood. Not long after Su Yiyen posted that post, Dongqing Entertainment listed out the list of people that needed to be dealt with. The list ranged from a certain agency to a bystander who had reposted and commented more than 500 times. As long as there was evidence of slandering the parties involved, a lawyer's letter was sent to them. Chapter 462. The first to bear the brunt were the 18th-tier actress, a certain director, and a certain management company. However, the first to panic were the keyboard warriors. These people often scolded when celebrities had scandals, and no one did anything to them. They really didn't understand why they stepped into a ditch this time. At first, these people didn't care much when they saw their IDs on the list. They only thought that Dongqing was bluffing and that it would pass after a few days. They didn't expect to receive a lawyer's letter from the other party in less than half an hour. Only then did they realize the seriousness of the matter. The first thing these people thought of was not to apologize, but to scold Dongqing's account. A small company is a small company. It's such a small matter and they send a lawyer's letter. They really don't have any tolerance at all. They deserve to be fired. It's indeed a company run by women. You're so calculative. Are you afraid that others don't know that you're so petty? Trash company. If you have the ability, sue us. We're scolding you, so what? At first, the passers-by were a little strange when they saw these comments. When they saw that these people's IDs were exactly the same as those on the list, they suddenly understood. Haha, I was wondering why there were suddenly so many nitpicking comments. Turns out that, although it's not kind, I still want to laugh. By the way, they deserve it. This is the second time, and there are still people who don't learn their lesson. Do you think that you can casually scam me, President Su? If you dare to come forward, you should be prepared to be slapped in the face. Do you really think that no one can do anything to you through the internet? After seeing the video of President Su scolding the scumbag and mistress, you should know that she's not someone to be trifled with. You deserve it. Yo, the cancer of the straight man is everywhere. Settling accounts with you is being calculative and petty. According to what you said, those people who were scolded by you deserve it. They can't resist, right? Don't say, I like how President Su is so stubborn. If people don't offend her, she won't offend them. If people offend her, she will pay them back 10 times. Serves them right. This is the first time in my life that I've seen someone rush to be sued. Don't worry, President Su is ruthless and doesn't say much. If I say I'll wash your mouths for free, then I'll wash your mouths for free. Serves you right. There was no need for the people from Su Yien's company to control the comments. The passers-by who couldn't stand it had already spontaneously attacked these people until they were speechless. Luo Weibing's fans are even more happy. They can't wait to go out and buy a truck of firecrackers. My brother's luck is finally getting better. He signed with such a firm that's even tougher than a diamond, and he's going to confront Rui directly. Dong Chung Chung press this dog company to the ground and rub it. From today onwards, Ice Cube is the most loyal fan of the official blog. Reality has proven that you'll really bump into ghosts if you walk too much at night. Didn't this trashy female artist want to use her brother as a stepping stone to rise to fame? Now it's great. After a wave of black and red, it's completely gone. Goodbye. JPG. Anyone who paid a little attention to this circle would know that those keyboard warriors and water armies would be sued for nothing more than some money. If it was serious, they would be locked up for a few days. The female artist, the director, and Rui were different. To put it bluntly, the entertainment circle was all about the popularity of passers-by. If a person with bad character wasn't exposed, it was okay. If it was exposed, except for some radical fans, who would be willing to buy their account. The female artist was a D-list actress. She didn't have many fans, so naturally, she didn't have much support. This time, she was completely gone. Chapter 463. It was the same for a certain director. If he was a great director, there would be no need to rush to find people. As soon as the audition notice was released, there would naturally be many people coming to apply. Now that his reputation was ruined, the investors would most likely withdraw their investment or even hold him accountable and ask him to pay the penalty for breach of contract. The early investment had already been invested, and with the penalty for breach of contract, the director could not rely on this show to make money. It was already good enough that he did not empty his savings and was in debt. As for Rui, in the eyes of many people, it was indeed bigger than Dongqing and could be regarded as an established entertainment company. At first, the crowd was still waiting excitedly. They wanted to see a life-and-death battle between the two companies. But it didn't take long for them to realize that they were still too naive. After waiting and waiting, the two companies did not openly fight and both sides suffered losses. Instead, they waited for the senior executives of Rui to commit tax evasion, forcing the company's artists to accept the unspoken rules, and even causing a shocking scandal that killed people. Overnight, almost all the senior executives of Rui were arrested. Without a leader and a lost reputation, Rui easily changed owners. This swift and decisive fall from power left the onlookers dumbfounded, but they also exclaimed in satisfaction. Some people who were hiding after this incident were not as miserable as Rui, but they also learned some lessons. Mrs. Hu stood in front of the emergency room door, anxiously pacing around. From time to time, she would let out a low cry and murmur that she could not suppress. How could this be? How could this be? Hua Qihan, who heard the news, came with a dark face. When he saw her like this, he frowned. What the hell is going on? My company has a contract to sign in a while. Mrs. Hua was anxious, and when she heard his words, she instantly became angry. Contract, contract, contract. You only think about the contract. Xiaofeng has an accident, and you still think about the contract. If it had been in the past, when he heard that his only son had an accident, Hua Qihan might have been nervous, but now he was unexpectedly indifferent and even a little impatient. If I don't sign the contract and don't work, what will you eat? You eat my food and live in my house, and you complain about me. Who gave you the face? Mrs. Hua was speechless by her husband's unceremonious rebuke. It took a while for her to react, and she trembled slightly with anger. What do you mean? Despise me? Back then, you were the one who didn't let me go out to work. You said that women should stay at home to take care of their husbands and children. You said that you would take good care of us. It's only been a few years. Have you forgotten? Enough. Hua Qihan impatiently interrupted Mrs. Hua's words. He did not cherish her as much as he did when they were husband and wife. He only felt that she was annoyed because she was moaning for no reason. I don't want to argue with you. Did you call me just to argue with me? What happened to Xiaofeng? If you don't tell me, I'm leaving. Mrs. Hua was trembling with anger. She thought of her son, who was still in the emergency room. She took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in her heart. She said coldly, I don't know. I just received a call saying that Xiaofeng was beaten up in a bar and is still in the emergency room. Hua Qihan clicked his tongue and complained in a low voice, You're already an adult, yet you're still doing nothing and causing trouble everywhere. Mrs. Hua widened her eyes in disbelief. It was as if she could not believe that these words came from her husband. In the past, even if Hua Xiaofeng had taken the initiative to cause trouble, he would protect him. Now, it was obvious that his son had been beaten up and was in the emergency room. It was someone else's fault. How could he blame him for causing trouble? Chapter 464. Mrs. Hua's face was so gloomy that it looked like it was about to rain. Just then, the door of the emergency room opened and Hua Xiaofeng was wheeled out. Xiaofeng, Xiaofeng. Mrs. Hua couldn't care about anything else and hurriedly wanted to chase after him. However, she saw that the doctor who had treated Hua Xiaofeng had also followed him out. She hurriedly grabbed the doctor and asked, Doctor, how is our Xiaofeng? The doctor glanced at her and said truthfully, Although the patient's hand has been reattached, it took too long. We can't guarantee that his hand will be able to carry heavy things like before. The implication was that although Hua Xiaofeng's hand had been reattached, the injury was more serious. He was afraid that he would only be able to do light work in the future. As a man, he might not even be able to carry his wife and child. His condition was not far from Hua Qinwan's. Mrs. Hua's legs went weak on the spot. By the time she recovered from this serious news, the doctor had already left. Hua Qihan also heard the doctor's words. He frowned slightly but didn't show much emotion. Just then, his cell phone rang. Hua Qihan glanced at the display and turned to leave to answer the call outside. Mrs. Hua saw that he was about to leave and her heart sank. She almost screamed, Our son is already like this. Where are you going? You haven't been home all day these days. What have you been doing? Are you really so busy with work? Hua Qihan stopped in his tracks when he heard this. He turned his head and glared at his wife fiercely. He gritted his teeth and said, I'm not a doctor. What's the use of staying here? After saying that, he turned around and left quickly without waiting for Mrs. Hua's reaction. Mrs. Hua's heart sank. She looked at her husband's back and cried bitterly. After crying, she rushed to her son's room in a daze and found that Hua Xiaofeng had already woken up. Xiaofeng, you're awake. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Does your hand hurt? Hand? When Hua Xiaofeng heard her words, it was as if he had just woken up from a dream. He subconsciously tried to lift his hand, but found that his hand could not move at all. Recalling what had happened in the bar, Hua Xiaofeng's expression changed drastically. His face was filled with horror. My hand, Why can't I move my hand? Mrs. Huo was shocked. She rushed forward to stop him and said with concern, Your hand is fine. Don't worry. You've just had surgery, don't move around. Mrs. Huo's words made Hu Chenhuan calm down a little. With reddened eyes, she confirmed, Are you really okay? Mrs. Huo pursed her lips. She was both heartbroken and angry. Her son should have been a carefree young master. Why did he become like this? Hu Xiaofeng did not wait for Mrs. Huo's answer. He panicked even more and said anxiously, Mom, tell me honestly. My hand. What happened to my hand? Xiaofeng, don't be too agitated. Your hand is fine, but... Mrs. Huo looked deeply at her son and choked with sobs. The doctor said that if you drag it on for too long, it might not be able to fully recover. You won't be able to lift heavy things in the future. Hu Xiaofeng's face turned pale. As if he had been struck by lightning, he collapsed on the hospital bed. Mrs. Huo cried even harder. Don't worry. That's just what the doctor said. Other doctors might have a way. There are so many amazing doctors in the world. Will someone be able to cure your hand? Even if they can't cure it, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do any heavy work anyway. It won't affect your hand. Chapter 465. Hu Xiaofeng listened to his mother's weeping for a long time with a cold face. Suddenly, his face turned ferocious, and he kicked the bed. It's him, it must be him. I'm going to kill him. Hu Xiaofeng's sudden outburst frightened Mrs. Huo. She looked at all of this in a daze, not knowing how to react. Until Hu Xiaofeng grabbed her hand and said crazily, Mom, it must be Hu Chenhuan, it must be him. That cripple, he's the one who made me like this, it must be him. How do you know it's him? Why would he do that to you? Mrs. Huo seemed to wake up from a dream. Then, she seemed to think of something and said in a panic, Did you do something? Tell Mom, did you do something again? Hu Chenhuan had indeed had a few conflicts with them recently, but it was almost always her son who provoked them first. It was precisely because she knew this that Mrs. Huo asked this question. Hu Xiaofeng's face darkened, and his voice rose a few octaves. I didn't do anything. He's a cripple, and he's jealous of me because I'm still healthy. That's why he wants to harm me and turn me into a cripple like him. Yes, that must be it. Hu Xiaofeng's voice was quite loud, but his eyes unconsciously wandered. Mrs. Huo knew her son well, and she could tell at a glance that he wasn't telling the truth. She said resentfully, If he was really jealous of you, he would have done it long ago. He wouldn't have waited until now. Xiaofeng, tell Mom the truth, what's going on? What did you do? Are you still trying to hide it from Mom at this time? Hu Xiaofeng choked, and after a while, he said reluctantly, I heard that someone wanted to mess with Su Yiyan and wanted to fake news of her having an affair, so I asked someone to add fuel to the fire. I revealed that the cripple is my uncle, and he's a cripple at that, and confirmed her motive for having an affair. Mrs. Huo's face tightened, and she didn't believe him. That's all? That's all. Hu Xiaofeng's face was deathly pale. After this matter was leaked, many people cursed Su Yiyan. They even mocked that cripple for being old, ugly, and crippled. Maybe because of this, he suddenly tried to harm me. No, it's not a possibility. It's definitely him. There's no one else other than him. Mrs. Huo still couldn't believe that Hu Chenhuan would cripple her son's hand just because of this. However, she couldn't think of anyone else in such a short time. Filled with righteous indignation, she said, Just because someone said a few bad things about him, he got so angry and even got someone to hurt you. What's more, what you told your men to leak out was the truth. He's a cripple, so why would he be afraid of others talking about him? We can't just let it go like this. We have to make him compensate you. We have to make him compensate you. No matter how much you compensate me, my hand can't be healed. Hu Xiaofeng's eyes were sinister, revealing a hint of resentment. But you're right, Mom. We can't just let this go. Where's Dad? Did you tell Dad about what happened to me? Mrs. Huo's expression suddenly froze. She lowered her head and said, No, your dad had to sign an important contract this morning. His phone was turned off, so I couldn't get in touch with him. Hu Xiaofeng didn't suspect anything. Then I'll tell him when he's done. By the way, where's little Ping? Mom, did you see her when you came over? Little Ping? You mean Wen Jingping? Did you go to the bar with her? Mrs. Wen's expression changed again when she heard Hu Xiaofeng's words. She looked at her son with a hint of dissatisfaction. Didn't I tell you to stay away from that little b****? Why are you hanging out with her again? Will you die if you leave her? She must have cast a spell on you. Chapter 466. Hu Xiaofeng felt embarrassed to be scolded by her, but he still asked patiently, "You really didn't see anyone?" Mrs. Hu said angrily, "I rushed over as soon as I received the call, but I didn't see anyone. I'm the only one here." Hu Xiaofeng's face turned green and white. In the end, he kicked the railing next to the bed. Damn it, bitch. He went to the bar today because a few of his friends suddenly called him and asked him to bring his girlfriend over for a gathering. Hu Xiaofeng was in a bad mood because of the company's problems, so he didn't want to go. Wen Jingping advised him to go out more if he was in a bad mood. She had been with him for so long, but she had never met his friends. Did he not want to introduce her to his friends? Hu Xiaofeng was persuaded by her, so he took her there. As a result, when he got there, he happened to bump into some people gambling in the bar. Moreover, the person in the lead was a sworn enemy of his who had a falling out with him before. With Wen Jingping next to him, Hu Xiaofeng, who loved to save face, took the bait almost immediately. Now that he thought about it, Hu Xiaofeng realized that the other party had come prepared and deliberately set a trap for him. He was really stupid to fall for it. No matter what, Hu Xiaofeng made a bet with the other party. Hu Xiaofeng lost, but the other party didn't ask for money. They only broke his hand and even cut his tendons. What disappointed him the most was that when all this happened, he was full of hope that Wen Jingping would save him like Su Yiyan did when he fell into the water on the night of Hu Chenhuan and Su Yiyan's wedding. However, Wen Jingping didn't live up to his expectations. Not only did she not help him, but she even secretly hid aside when the group of people held him down, afraid that she would be implicated. Before this, Hu Xiaofeng still had a faint hope in his heart. He hoped that Wen Jingping's retreat was to protect herself, so that she could send him to the hospital immediately after he got into trouble. But the truth was she didn't. In order not to be implicated, she decisively abandoned herself. This was the woman that he had chosen himself. In order to be with her, he did not hesitate to become enemies with the Su family. Hu Xiaofeng's eyes were bloodshot. At this moment, he even hated Wen Jingping. Congratulations, host, snatching the female protagonist's golden finger progress plus 15. Current progress is 45%. You are only 5% away from the progress bar of snatching the male protagonist's golden finger. Please continue to work hard. Su Yiyan was a little confused when he heard the system notification. Why did it suddenly increase by 15? Did something happen on Wen Jingping's side again? After testing, the relationship between the male and female leads has collapsed on a large scale, causing the influence of the female lead's goldfinger to be reduced to a certain extent. Su Yiyan was stunned. Didn't these two always claim to be true love? How could it collapse just like that? So casual? What happened? Why did the two of them fall out just like that? This afternoon, the male lead was provoked when he brought the female lead to a bar. He lost a bet and injured his hand and was hospitalized. The female lead left him in the lurch and fled after the incident, causing the relationship between the two to fall apart. Su Yiyan blinked. He almost thought that he was hallucinating because he was too tired. This doesn't make sense. Didn't Wen Jingping claim to be deeply in love with Hu Xiaofeng? Didn't she say that when her aunt kicked Hu Xiaofeng into the water, she did everything she could to save Hu Xiaofeng and almost drowned in the end? Why did she suddenly leave him in the lurch? That was then and this is now. Please make your own judgment regarding the specific reasons. Su Yiyan. If I knew, would I still need to ask you? What use do I have for you? Chapter 467. However, the phrase, that was then and this is now, seemed to have a deeper meaning. The biggest difference between then and now was Hu Xiaofeng's status? At that time, Hu Xiaofeng was still the popular heir of the Hu family. Now, he was just an abandoned pawn. Just because of this, when Jinping kicked him out? If that was the case, then the so-called true love between the two of them was not the usual kind of irony. Su Yien's eyes flashed with a trace of mockery. Then, as if thinking of something, she frowned and said, "What's up with the male lead's cheat? Is it to let Chen Huan snatch Hua Xiaofeng's cheat? Then why didn't it open in the beginning?" Now that Hua Xiaofeng had been kicked out of the Hua family and lost his status as the heir, what else was there to snatch? The progress bar of the male lead's cheat will open when the progress bar of the female lead's cheat is halfway through. The details will be explained when the time comes. Su Yian. In other words, I asked a few questions, but you didn't answer any of them. What's the use of having you? As if sensing Su Yian's disdain, the system replied with some emotion, which was rare for it. Su Yian? Why did she feel that the system style was a little off? No, it didn't seem to have been like this recently. It was only after Yuan came to this house that the system style began to change. It became more human. Thinking of this, Su Yian could not help but smile. Perhaps, at first, she did not like this uninvited guest who had taken the initiative to enter her brain. However, after so many things, she realized that the system had indeed been helping her all this time. It could even be said that it had not only helped her. Its existence had allowed her uncle and aunt to have a baby that they had been longing for. It had prevented Ning Chirue from dying of a serious illness. The Ning and Qi families had also prevented their families from being wiped out because of his death. It had also allowed Hua Chenhuan to be reborn. Other than that, there were many more. Because of it, many people were saved from being persecuted by the plot. It was also because of it that she could start over again and change the fate of herself and the people around her. Su Yian's eyes flickered as she said sincerely, "Thank you." She was met with a long silence. After about 5 minutes, a mechanical voice sounded in her head. "Congratulations to the host for obtaining +10 favorable impression points." It was a dry sentence. It was different from the previous increase in favorability, which was followed by a long string of words of encouragement. No matter how one looked at it, this favorability notification sounded a little shabby. Su Yian quickly understood who gave him these 10 favorable impression points and laughed softly. Who would have thought that the system, which had always been so strict, was actually such a tsundere on the inside? The system. You're the tsundere, your whole family is tsundere. As if it had sensed Su Yian's emotions, a series of strange electric current crackled before it returned to normal. The system silently disappeared, and Su Yian did not continue to tease it. At this time, Ling Xiaoqi, who had just returned from a trip during the holidays and had seen all the bad news on the internet, anxiously called her. "Yin, are you okay? What's going on with the messy news on the internet? Are you and that person of yours okay?" Su Yian knew what she was worried about. She smiled slightly and said, "What can happen to me? They're the ones who are in trouble. Didn't you see the investigation list on our company's official account? Little people who dare to provoke me don't even think about running away." Chapter 468. Ling Xiaoqi was embarrassed. She thought to herself, "I called you because I saw the long list of names. I was worried that you would hurt your health. Are you really okay? I think they attacked your husband. Your husband isn't angry because of this, right? You too don't hurt your health. At most, we'll ask them to pay for it." Ling Xiaoqi knew how much Su Yian loved her husband. As an outsider, she was angry when she saw the comments on the internet, let alone Su Yian. Su Yian snorted and said with some pride, "How can I be appeased just by asking them to pay for it? My husband wants to help me destroy that company and buy it back to be my toy. If they dare to provoke me, I'll go over and be their boss. I'll make them serve me tea and please me. Let's see who dares to talk nonsense in the future." Ling Xiaoqi was speechless. "Good, you guys know how to play. As a single dog, it's my fault to feel sorry for newlyweds like you. Okay, don't show off in front of me. As a poor working dog, I can't afford to eat royal dog food like you guys." Su Yian listened to her grief and anger and chuckled. "Are you jealous? If you're jealous, then find one quickly. My brother is also single. How about? Don't give me random matchmaking. If you push me too hard, I'll bite you with Hua Hua. Su Yiyan pursed her lips. A dog biting Lu Dongbin. You don't know how to appreciate kindness. I know you're doing this for my own good. Let's not talk about this anymore. I have a question for you. What question? Ling Xiaoqi coughed softly and was a little embarrassed. You've been married for a while. Have you done it? Su Yiyan was stunned. She looked at the screen again and confirmed that the person who asked this question was Ling Xiaoqi. Why are you asking this? I just want to ask you if your married life is harmonious. If it's not harmonious, I have some videos here. Do you want to watch and learn? Although Ling Xiaoqi knew that most of the vicious words on the internet were false, the discussions made her realize that her good friend was not married to an ordinary person. Hua Qinhuan's legs were disabled, so her movements were definitely limited. It was inevitable that the husband and wife would not get along well in certain aspects. At this time, Su Yiyan had to put in a lot of effort. It wasn't that Ling Xiaoqi didn't believe in their feelings for each other. It was just that for most couples, this was a plus. What if the two of them didn't get along well and had a conflict? What if one of them took things too hard and went out to find someone else? Their relationship would be ruined. Ling Xiaoqi was an imaginative person. She was worried sick about her best friend, so she mustered up the courage to give her personal collection to Su Yiyan. When Su Yiyan heard her words, she was stunned for a few seconds. These few seconds were the time when her worldview was shattered and rebuilt. You're a single dog who doesn't even have a boyfriend. How could you have such a thing? Ling Xiaoqi was stunned by the roar. When she came back to her senses, she was angry and amused. Who's a single dog who can't watch such things? You're discriminating. Discriminating my ass. Gosh, I need to calm down. Su Yiyan took a deep breath. I didn't expect it. You usually look so serious, but in private, you're actually such a person. I've really misjudged you. It's not too late to find out now. Do you want it? If not, forget it. If not for the fact that you're my best friend, I wouldn't be willing to take it out. Ling Xiaoqi was about to hang up. Chapter 469. Wait! Su Yiyan sensed her intentions and exclaimed, Let's talk nicely. Don't hang up just yet. Ling Xiaoqi could hear the urgency in Su Yiyan's voice. She couldn't help but laugh, but she quickly restrained herself. Since you want to talk nicely, tell me honestly. Have you guys? Su Yiyan was speechless. She seriously suspected that a certain someone didn't ask this question for her sake, but to satisfy a certain someone's own curiosity. Why aren't you answering? Don't tell me, you haven't? Ling Xiaoqi thought that Su Yiyan would respond with silence like before. Unexpectedly, she heard Su Yiyan reply in the next second. Really? Ling Xiaoqi gasped. You haven't done it even once in such a long time? Don't tell me you guys. Stop. There's nothing wrong with us. He's receiving treatment recently, so it's not suitable for him to do such things to distract himself. Treatment? What treatment? Ling Xiaoqi quickly reacted after asking the question. But your husband is receiving treatment for his leg? Can his leg really be cured? Yeah, he's already doing rehabilitation. Su Yiyan trusted Ling Xiaoqi, so she didn't hesitate to tell her the truth. That's great! Ling Xiaoqi exclaimed. When she first met Hua Qinhuan, she thought that he was good at everything. He was handsome, rich, and doted on Su Yiyan. The only regret was that his leg was crippled. Now that she knew that his leg could be cured, Ling Xiaoqi was truly happy for Su Yiyan. She wanted to see how those keyboard warriors with cheap mouths would use this to attack them in the future. A bunch of sour chickens. When Su Yiyan heard Ling Xiaoqi's words, the corners of her mouth unconsciously curled up. The next second, he heard Ling Xiaoqi ask in a low voice with a faint smile, Since he's almost recovered, then what I said just now, send them all to me, not a single one less. If I find out that you've been hiding them, I'll give you a couple's score tomorrow. Ling Xiaoqi. Oh, look at how anxious he is. He even had the nerve to criticize me just now. Shameless. Although she complained, Ling Xiaoqi still sent the item to Su Yiyan. After Su Yiyan received the file, he immediately saw the long list of file names. 360-degree spiral circle thunderbolt invincible private collection, death to peepers. Su Yiyen was speechless. There were so many scenes in a folder. Were they afraid that others wouldn't know that there was something not suitable for children inside? That's enough. Su Yiyen complained as she opened the folder. Then, she tried to open the first video. What came into view was an abnormal scene that required the entire screen to be pixelated, as well as an inexplicably loud and somewhat frightening scream. Su Yiyen was dumbfounded on the spot. It took him a long time to react and turn off the video. Kacha, the bedroom door was opened from the outside. Su Yiyen felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He stood up immediately and tried to turn off the video in a flurry. However, the more nervous he became, the more flustered he became. Fortunately, he managed to turn off the video before the people outside came in. Huo Chenhuan opened the door and looked around. Then, she glanced at Su Yiyen and said doubtfully, "I think I heard something strange just now." "No, there was nothing at all," Su Yiyen said righteously, but it made people even more suspicious. Huo Chenhuan looked at her suspiciously. Su Yiyen felt inexplicably guilty. He lowered his head slightly and said, "I accidentally clicked on a spam page just now. The sound was a little loud. It's not a big deal, ha." Chapter 470. Huo Chenhuan looked at her deeply and suddenly understood something. He said in a low voice, "Yes." Su Yiyen's face was so hot that it could fry an egg. She took the initiative to change the topic. "Are you here to play games with me? I'm ready. Let's go." Huo Chenhuan was pushed into the study by her. His eyes were full of smiles. In the middle of the large study, there were 2 game cabins sent by Gu Xiaoyang. The game cabins were tightly closed and could only be opened by the owner after his identity was verified. They looked like containers and escape cabins, but Su Yiyen didn't like the dark color. She always felt that they were not game cabins, but 2 small coffins. Su Yiyen was a little unhappy when she thought that she and Huo Chenhuan would have to sleep in these 2 coffins. No, in the game cabins to log into the game. Even if she really had to sleep in coffins, she would sleep in the same coffin as Huo Chenhuan after she died. How could there be 2 of them? Huo Chenhuan didn't know that his little wife was staring at the 2 game cabins and thinking about their lives 100 years later. Seeing that she stood beside the game cabins for a long time without any reaction, he thought that she was worried about the dangers of these things. These game cabins were tested repeatedly before they were sent here. They are absolutely safe. Don't be afraid. Su Yiyen was stunned. She knew that he misunderstood, but she didn't explain. She nodded with a faint smile. After the identity verification, the game cabins automatically opened. There was a long side passage on the right side, which didn't take up much space. It was used to prevent players from being hungry after playing for too long. The principle was actually the same as giving nutrition infusions to patients who couldn't swallow. Su Yiyen and Gu Xiaoyang didn't plan to stay in there for a whole day, so they didn't inject any nutrition infusions. Su Yiyen lay in the game cabin with a feeling of exploring the unknown. She was excited but also nervous. "Are you nervous?" Huo Chenhuan's voice came from the side. "A little. Don't be afraid, I'll be with you," Huo Chenhuan said as she reached out to Su Yiyen. Their gaming cabins were placed side by side, so they could touch each other as long as they stretched out their hands. "See you inside. See you inside." The 2 of them looked at each other and smiled. The moment they retracted their hands, the gaming capsule also closed. After a moment of darkness, a mechanical voice said, "Welcome to Illusory Feast. Please enter your game name." "Game name?" Su Yiyen pondered for a moment, then blushed and said, "Little Yen Yen of the Huan Huan family." Player's game name is Huan Huan's Little Yen Yen. Confirm? Yes. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yiyen heard a ding. "Your game name has been confirmed. Have a good time." Following that, there was a sense of weightlessness, followed by a burst of pleasant music in his ears, and his vision suddenly became a little dazzling. Su Yiyen subconsciously used her hand to block the light. When the light dissipated, the scene in front of her had completely changed. The sky was even more blue than in reality. There were no tall buildings or cement cars. Instead, it was replaced by green mountains and clear water. The grass was long and the birds were flying. The sound of flowing water was mixed with the chirping of birds and cicadas from time to time. A gentle breeze blew, rustling the leaves on the branches and bending the grass in the forest. Standing by the stream, Su-yin seemed to be able to faintly smell the fragrance of the grass brought by the wind and the faint water vapor of the stream. Subconsciously taking a deep breath, Su-yin said with surprise and disappointment, "It's actually the same as in reality. No, it's even more beautiful than in reality." Chapter 471. This was a paradise that had never been cultivated before. There were flowers, grass, trees, streams, animals, and plants. The only thing that seemed to be lacking was popularity, and this problem would be perfectly solved when the game officially opened in a few days. Su-yin looked at her reflection in the sparkling water of the stream. Her face was no different from reality, but the makeup on her face was provided by the system. She wore a delicate pink gauze dress, and her shoulder-length hair was tied into a simple bun with 2 hairpins. Although it was simple, it was very delicate. What made Su-yin most satisfied was that the female character in this game was not as revealing as the other game characters she had seen before. It was still acceptable. Ah, right, where's Chenhuan? Su-yin remembered that she had lost her husband. She recalled Hua Chenhuan's instructions before entering the game cabin. Don't panic when you enter the game. If we don't land in the same place, open the server list, or stay where you are and wait for me to find you. Su-yin searched for a while before she found the server list. She clicked on it and understood why Hua Chenhuan would be able to find her as long as she could find this. At that time, there were only 2 people in the game. One was herself, and the other was not using it. Of course, it was Hua Chenhuan. It was just that, Yin-Yin's Huan. Su-yin read this name and could not help but laugh out loud. Her heart was as sweet as honey. They had clearly not agreed beforehand, but they had tacitly used a couple's name. Before Su-yin could take the initiative to contact the other party, Hua Chenhuan had already sent a message. "Wait for me where you are. I'll come and find you." Su-yin did not know how he would find her, but she still chose to trust Hua Chenhuan unconditionally. She replied with an "okay." Hua Chenhuan did not make her wait for long. After about 5 minutes, Su-yin heard a familiar voice behind her. "Yin-Yin." Su-yin subconsciously turned his head, but when he saw who it was, he froze in place. The person was dressed in a light blue brocade robe. His long hair, which was different from the real world, was tied up with a silver crown. He looked more scholarly than in the real world, familiar yet unfamiliar. However, the biggest difference between the person in front of him and the outside world was that he was standing in front of him with his legs upright. "You." Su-yin took a few steps forward, but she was a little uncertain. As if seeing her hesitation, Hua Chenhuan's eyes flickered. She smiled and said, "Here, I am complete." That's right, he was complete here. Even if he hadn't been healed in the outside world, in this virtual holographic world, he was complete. He wasn't injured, he wasn't disabled, he was a complete person. Su-yin's eyes were slightly sore, and a bold guess suddenly appeared in her mind. Maybe after Hua Chenhuan's accident, he brought Zui Yanbai and the others to establish such a company dedicated to the development of various virtual products, all for this moment. In a sense, to make him a complete person again, without the slightest flaw. Su-yin's eyes were red. She quickly stepped forward and threw herself into the other's arms. She wanted to say something, but her tears fell first. Seeing this, Hua Chenhuan hugged her even tighter. He closed his eyes, and a rare look of satisfaction appeared on his face. Chapter 472. The two of them stood in that position for a while. Su-yin gradually calmed down, but her tears still flowed out uncontrollably. Hua Chenhuan's heart ached for her. She lifted her hand to wipe her tears while comforting her. All right. Don't cry. You won't look good if you keep crying. Su-yin hiccuped as she asked, if I cry in here, will it affect the outside world? Hua Chenhuan laughed. She was still worried about whether crying in here would affect the outside world? No. Everything that happens in the game, including the damage you receive, will not affect the outside world. Huo Chenhuan explained as she taught Su Yiyan step by step. The pain in the game can also be adjusted. It depends on your needs. Su Yiyan decisively adjusted her pain to 0. What's next? How do we play this game? First, choose a home. Through this home, you can choose the missions you need to complete in the future. Home. Huo Chenhuan held Su Yiyan's hand and tapped on the bottom right corner. Soon, an icon of a small house appeared. With a light tap, several holographic images of houses appeared. There was a small farmyard, a small European-style villa, a quaint courtyard house. There was a wide variety of houses. Su Yiyan's mouth instantly formed an O shape. Isn't this too human-like? Choose one that you like. Huo Chenhuan seemed to have thought of something after saying that. She smiled faintly and said, if you like all of them, you can change your choice. How do I change my choice? After choosing a home, you have to complete missions to enrich your home. Different homes have different missions. If you're tired of living in your home, or if you're tired of doing missions, you can also spend money to change your home. Then, after changing your home, will the things that you bought in this home still be there? Some can be kept and some can't. Which ones can't? Those that are dropped after completing missions will disappear. Those that are bought with money won't. Su Yiyan instantly understood. Although they could change their home, those that they spent money on could be taken away. Those that they did not spend money on would disappear. To put it bluntly, they still had to choose carefully. It was one thing to lose if they changed. If they really wanted to decorate this house by playing games and doing quests together, every blade of grass, tree, brick, and tile in the future would be filled with their memories. At that time, even if she was asked to change, she would not be willing to do so. Then let's choose a farmhouse with a yard. We can plant trees and flowers in the yard. When the time comes, we can even raise 1 or 2 little cuties like Dun Dun. Yes. After Su Yiyan got the confirmation, she immediately selected the farmhouse and clicked on it. In an instant, a 2-story farmhouse appeared before the two of them. Su Yiyan pulled Huo Chenhuan and was about to walk inside, but was stopped by Huo Chenhuan. This is your home. I can't go in. Su Yiyan was dumbfounded. Then what should we do? Just invite me. Invitation? Yes, you invited me to live in your house. Huo Chenhuan's words carried a hint of ridicule. Su Yiyan understood what he was implying, and her face immediately turned red. Okay, I'll invite you to live in my house. Just as she finished speaking, the AI system automatically popped up a certificate according to her words, informing Huo Chenhuan that the owner of the house had agreed to let him in. Let's go. Okay. Su Yiyan followed him and took 2 steps forward. Then, as if she had thought of something, she suddenly stopped. What's? Huo Chenhuan turned to look at her. Before he could ask, Su Yiyan hugged him. Moreover, they were entangled in the octopus position. Huo Chenhuan? Chapter 473. Su Yiyan, on the other hand, was quite satisfied with this position. She giggled and explained, I've thought about this a long time ago. Once you've recovered and come to the company to pick me up, I'll rush out from the company to welcome you. I'll hang on you like this so that you won't be able to tear me off. This idea could only be realized when Huo Chenhuan stood up. Otherwise, he would be sitting in a wheelchair. Even if she wanted to hang on him, she would have to sit on his lap. There was no beauty to it. No, it would even add to his burden. Although it would add to his burden, it was definitely a sweet burden. Huo Chenhuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry after hearing her explanation. However, he was happy to fulfill her wish. He gently supported her back but so that she could hang on him better. It was a farmhouse's courtyard. The courtyard was actually quite big, but it was currently bare. Other than a planned flower bed, there were no cherry blossoms inside. It was the same inside the house. It was a 2-story house with a living room, bedroom, and kitchen. However, the matching furniture could only be obtained by completing missions. The two walked around upstairs and downstairs and found 2 chairs, a table, and a simple wooden bed. Su Yiyan. Isn't this too shabby? With that thought, Su Yen's gaze subconsciously drifted to the bed. This game was quite realistic in all aspects. If they were to roll around in bed in this game, wouldn't it be? As soon as this thought appeared, Su Yen couldn't help but shudder. No, this was a proper game. How could they use it to do that kind of thing? If someone found out, wouldn't the entire game be censored? It was all Ling Xiaoqi's fault. Why did she send her that kind of thing? Now, her mind was filled with that kind of thing. Ling Xiaoqi, who silently took the blame? Who was she doing this for? Su Yiyan, who was blushing from her own imagination, suddenly heard Hua Qinhuan's voice. She jumped in fright as if she had a guilty conscience. What's wrong? Do you want to do a mission? Mission? Su Yiyan reacted quickly and shook his head. I won't do the mission today. I want to stay here with you for a while. Is that okay? It wasn't easy for them to come to a place where no one would disturb them. It was a world that belonged solely to the two of them. Moreover, in this world of the two of them, Hua Qinhuan's legs were still intact. She could walk freely without the help of any external force. Su Yiyan didn't want to go anywhere. She just wanted to stay in their home and be alone with Hua Qinhuan. Hua Qinhuan seemed to have seen through her thoughts. His eyes deepened as he held her hand tightly. They sat on the somewhat simple bed and looked out the window. This bedroom was on the second floor of the attic, facing the front yard. Looking down from the window, one could see the separated flower beds below. After we finish the mission, let's buy some seeds first. I want to plant vegetables in the ground. Planting vegetables? Hua Qinhuan was a little surprised. Aren't you planting flowers? I already have a courtyard full of flowers that you gave me. There's no need to plant any more. I want to plant some canola here, some lettuce there, and some radish there. When they're ripe, we can use them for hot pot. When the time comes, we'll build a shed next to it and raise some chickens, ducks, and sheep. Every time we harvest the vegetables, we'll raise some chickens. Chapter 474. Su Yiyan pointed at the small courtyard below and excitedly talked about her plans for the future. Her eyes were filled with anticipation and yearning for the future. This plan included him, and a home that belonged to them. Hua Qinhuan looked at the side of her face and felt that her entire body was glowing, and this glow belonged to him. Su Yiyan spoke for a long time and realized that the person beside her did not react at all. She stopped talking and turned to look at him in confusion. Are you listening? Before she could finish speaking, Hua Qinhuan kissed her. Su Yiyan's eyes narrowed, but she quickly relaxed and took the initiative to hug Hua Qinhuan's waist. She propped up a small pole and opened the window slightly. A ray of sunlight slipped into the room and sprinkled on the two people who were hugging each other. It was as if a layer of dense light had covered them, harmonious and warm. The next morning, Su Yiyan woke up early. She glanced at Hua Qinhuan, who was still sleeping next to her, and laughed foolishly. Although they did not do any missions last night, they still stayed in the game for a few hours. They only came out of the game late at night. As for what the two of them did in those few hours, naturally, everything was ready. They were only one step away. Su Yiyan guessed that the person beside her probably wanted their first time to be in real life, so they stopped at the last minute. Although it was a little regretful, Su Yiyan was still very happy to see Hua Qinhuan stand up and spend so much time with him in the game. Su Yiyan giggled and leaned over to steal a kiss on Hua Qinhuan's lips. She quickly got up from the bed and prepared to cook a delicious meal to reward herself and share her joy with the others. However, she did not expect that the second she left the bedroom, the person who was originally lying on the bed slowly opened his eyes. Looking at the door that had just closed, she reached out and touched the place where she had been kissed. Her clear eyes didn't have the slightest bit of sleepiness and confusion from just waking up. "Young madam, why are you up so early today?" Uncle Zhang was surprised to see Su Yiyan coming down from upstairs. "I want to cook a few more dishes today, so I woke up earlier. Are the chefs at home awake?" Su Yiyan was referring to a few chefs. Previously, they had restored the egg tarts and buns that she had made before. Moreover, they had restored the taste of the egg tarts and buns by 70 to 80%. Presumably, they were quite capable. I'm up. I'm preparing breakfast for young master and young madam. I have a lot of things to do today. I'm afraid I won't be able to do it alone. Help me ask around and see if anyone is willing to help. Uncle Zhang's eyes lit up as he nodded with a smile. All right, I'll go ask them now. Su Yiyan thought that it would be good enough if Uncle Zhang could call one over for her. Unexpectedly, other than a chef who was not feeling well and had asked for leave, the other chefs who were still at home all rushed over. When these chefs heard that the young madam wanted them to help cook, they rushed over without thinking. They were afraid that if they were a step late, Su Yiyan would have enough people on her side and not bring them along. There were a total of 3 chefs who came, 2 women and 1 man. They were all in their 30s or 40s. They looked at Su Yiyan with burning and bright eyes, as if they wanted to swallow her alive. Su Yiyan was scared by their gazes. She coughed lightly and said, Uncle Zhang should have told you all, right? I have a lot of things to do today, so I want to ask for your help. Chapter 475. The 3 of them looked at each other and said uneasily, Yes, but aren't you afraid that we'll steal what you've made? Su Yiyan didn't answer directly. Instead, she smiled and asked them a question, Have you watched my live stream? At first, they were curious and wanted to know what this new young master liked so that it would be easier for them to watch when they were cooking. They didn't expect to fall into a pit and couldn't climb out. They were embarrassed. They had watched Su Yiyan's live stream recordings, but some of the materials were only available in her shop, so they couldn't try to recreate it themselves. Since I'm willing to live stream for strangers to watch, it means that I'm not afraid of people copying. I don't care how much you can learn from the live stream. If you learn anything, it's yours. In the same way, you guys can help me out later. Whatever you learn will be yours. The 3 of them were shocked. They couldn't believe that there was such a thing as a free lunch in this world. If there aren't any other questions, let's start cooking. It's getting late. If we delay any longer, I'm afraid that breakfast will become lunch. Su Yiyan seemed to have thought of something. I'll start a live stream in a bit. If you help, you'll probably be filmed. But don't worry, it won't show your faces. Do you mind? The 3 of them seemed to wake up from a dream and hurriedly shook their heads. We don't mind, we don't mind. As long as they could watch from a close distance, so what if their faces were shown? Plus, they wouldn't show their faces. Okay then. What are you good at? I'm good at cooking. I'm good at making soup and porridge. I'm good at making desserts. Desserts? Su Yiyan was suddenly interested. You made those buns and egg tarts? The one who knew how to make desserts was a female chef. When she heard Su Yiyan's words, she froze and said embarrassedly, Yes. The young master liked the egg tarts and buns that the young madam made before, so I asked Mr. Yu to ask you how to make them. I tried making them myself, but they didn't taste as good as the young madam's. Steamed Bun had learned from the live stream. When Su Yiyan made the egg tarts, she didn't live stream them. They really didn't know how to make them, so they could only try asking Yu Zian for help. Originally, she didn't have much hope, but she didn't expect this young man to be so generous and send her a copy of the recipe. You're too modest. I've tasted your cooking and it's delicious. Since you know how to make desserts, it will be much easier. Today, we'll boil 2 soups and 2 porridge. After that, we'll make some pasta, and dumplings. Young madam, you can make the arrangements. We will listen to your orders. Let's do it. Su Yiyan swiftly assigned tasks to the few of them and opened the live broadcast room. The early bird gets the worm. The host is live streaming. Why did the streamer start a live broadcast at this time? Don't you usually broadcast at night? Su Yiyan looked at the comments that flashed through her live broadcast room from time to time. She did not expect that there would be so many people squatting in her live broadcast room on the morning of the holiday. I usually have to go to work, so I don't have much time in the morning. There isn't much I can do, so I usually broadcast at night. Today is the weekend, so I don't have to go to work. I wanted to make a few more desserts to try, so I woke up early. Why are you guys up so early? I thought there wouldn't be many people in the live broadcast room since it's so early. Chapter 476. As soon as Su Yiyen said that, the audience in the live stream room became complacent. Haha, I haven't gotten up yet. I'm lazing in bed. I originally planned to sleep until noon, but when I heard the live stream room's notification, I didn't know why I woke up immediately. I'm now watching the live stream in bed. For the sake of my hard work, the streamer must pick me today. The times are calling. The live stream is calling. How can I not come? It's obviously the food that's calling. I've seen through you long ago. Every time Su Yiyen saw these cute internal arguments, she couldn't help but want to smile like an ant. I've made more things today, so there will be more things to participate in the lucky draw later. Everyone, remember to participate enthusiastically. As soon as Su Yiyen said that, the audience in the live stream room was very happy. Hee hee, I like it when the live stream host suddenly starts a live stream. It's early in the morning, so there won't be many people. Does this mean that my chances of winning the lucky draw can also be increased? What are you daydreaming about? Look at the number of people online in the live stream room. You want to take advantage of the opportunity to win early? No way. With this number of people, I can only say that the live stream and food have a great charm. In just a few minutes, the number of viewers in Su Yiyen's live stream room had soared to 7 digits. She directly occupied the throne of the real-time live stream host's popularity. The early risers who originally wanted to take advantage of the opportunity before most people reacted were heartbroken. They spontaneously began to fill the bullet screen with all kinds of heartbroken emojis. Then, another audience member seemed to have discovered something and asked mysteriously. The live stream host seems to be very happy today. Her voice is a little floaty. Did something good happen? Su Yiyen was stunned when she saw this message. Even though she knew that they couldn't see her, she subconsciously touched her face and said embarrassedly, "Is it that obvious?" "It's very obvious." "Haha, actually, I just thought about it." The live stream host's tone today is exceptionally gentle. Of course, I'm not saying that the live stream host is not usually kind, it's just sweet. This audience member's desire to live was quite high. The other audience members in the live stream room understood immediately when they heard the word sweet. Hee hee, I'm guessing that the live stream host's mood today has something to do with her husband. What are you guessing for? It must have something to do with my husband. According to my experience of watching the streamer's live broadcast for so long, 99% of the daily emotional changes of the streamer are related to the streamer's husband? What about the remaining 1%? Is it related to keyboard warriors and anti-fans? Nothing wrong with that. Why is the scene of a sunflower revolving around its sun automatically appearing in my mind when I hear the comment above? Wah wah, it's another day of crying over someone else's beautiful love. Su Yiyen looked at the screen that was filled with discussions. Inexplicably, she felt ashamed and annoyed that her thoughts had been exposed. She blushed slightly and said to the 3 kitchen helpers not far away, "The stewing time is longer. We'll stew the soup first. Come and help us." Su Yiyen waved at the female chef who was good at making soup and porridge. The female chef took a few steps forward and soon entered the scene. There seems to be someone else on the streamer's side? Who is it? It's the chefs at home. There are a lot of things to cook today, and the quantity is also large. I can't handle it alone, so I want to ask them to help me. Chapter 477. Am I the only one who noticed the streamer's several chefs? A few, not one, but a few. Wow, the streamer's family is really rich. She can actually afford to hire so many chefs. People like me who can't even afford to hire a single chef. No, I'm a poor person who can't even afford to eat in a high-class restaurant. I'm jealous when I look at other people's chefs. Of course, there were also some people who didn't quite understand. The streamer's cooking skills are so good. Why does she still need to hire chefs? Good cooking skills don't necessarily mean that she cooks all the time. If I had the streamer's family background and so much money, I would be too lazy to cook. Wouldn't it be better to eat ready-made food at home? This reason really made people unable to refute. Su Yan looked up and saw the screen full of people who were envious of her chef's sour lemons. She smiled and said, "Today, I'm going to make 2 types of chicken soup. One is suitable for girls who are physically weak, and the other is Codonopsis angelica chicken soup for middle-aged and elderly people. Shredded chicken is a good tonic in spring. Add Codonopsis angelica, red dates and stew it together. In addition to nourishing blood and promoting blood circulation, it also has the effect of regulating menstruation and reducing excess." As Su Yan spoke, she cut half of the chicken into pieces and soaked them in water. Then, she put them together with other ingredients into the casserole to stew. Huo Chenhuan, who had just finished washing up and opened the live broadcast room, heard this sentence. Chicken soup for girls, middle-aged and elderly people? Excluding girls, only middle-aged and elderly people were left. Was his wife beating around the bush to think that he was old? Fortunately, in the next second, he heard Su Yan say, "The other type of chicken soup is yam stew chicken soup. Yam nourishes the kidney, and when paired with chicken and carrot stew, it's suitable for men to eat in spring. It also has an obvious effect on some men's symptoms of kidney deficiency and seminal emission." Huo Chenhuan. Kidney deficiency? Seminal emission? As soon as she finished speaking, many viewers in the live broadcast room looked at the 2 types of soup in a different way. The old viewers who had watched Su Yan's live broadcast and the customers who had eaten in her restaurant knew that the streamer didn't lie. If she was useful, then it must be useful. Help me watch the fire. I've already put in the carrots and chicken. When the water comes to a boil, simmer for 15 minutes. After that, add the yam and stew quickly. The female chef's eyes lit up. In order to make the soup taste good, the heat control was also a key factor. Although Su Yan would tell them how to cook it during the live broadcast, he did not go into detail about how to cook it and how long to cook it for. Other than wanting her to watch the fire, he was also trying to give her some pointers. Okay, I'll keep an eye on it. Since someone was watching over the soup, Su Yan called for the male chef who knew how to stir-fry ingredients. Can you make pancakes? Pancakes? Su Yan saw that he was a little confused, so he smiled faintly and said, "It doesn't matter if you don't know how. It's similar to cooking and it's easy to operate. I'll give you a demonstration later. If it works, why don't you do it?" Alright. Su Yan was preparing to make fried shredded potato egg pancakes and scallion pancakes. The fried shredded potato egg pancakes were easy to make. Cut the potatoes into shreds and cut the bacon into pieces. Then, add flour, egg, chicken powder, and chopped green onions to form a paste. Place it in the pan and fry it until both sides were cooked. The reason why pancakes could become one of the most popular foods on the streets was because once it was cooked, the aroma would spread for 10 miles, making passers-by drool. Su Yan demonstrated to the male chef once, and the entire live broadcast room was enveloped in the smell of fried oil. Zheng. Chapter 478. Sob sob sob, it's so early in the morning. It's simply torture for me to smell this kind of smell. Go, can you hear my stomach growling? I'm almost out of breath. Hurry up and bring the host's omelette to me. This omelette seems quite simple when the host makes it. I think I can give it a try. I've already placed an order for potato flour and eggs. Sisters, wait for my good news. Hands, no, you can't. I advise the person above not to be impulsive. Watching the host make things seem very simple, but that's just an illusion. When it's in your hands, it might not be so simple. For those who are itching to do it yourself, I advise you to look at the fish that died with their eyes wide open in the comments section. JPG. Su Yan had made fish several times before. Steaming, braising, boiling, and even making soup. It was precisely because the fish she fried was golden and crispy on the outside and tender on the inside that some viewers couldn't hold back their desire to eat after watching her cooking. They also bought fish and fried it themselves. As one could imagine, 99% of the people who bought it failed. The remaining 1% couldn't even protect their own kitchens. As a result, The comments section during that period could be seen from time to time with the horrifying scene of the fish that died with their eyes wide open. While the few of them were joking around, Su Yiyan had already finished making the first fried potato omelette. The thin potato shreds and bacon could be clearly seen on the round omelette. It looked especially crispy, and it was even more so when one bit into it. This taste is amazing. It's crispy and crispy. The more you eat it, the more addictive it is. Crunch crunch. Eating this is really addictive. I think I can eat a few pieces of this size by myself. Is it so delicious when the potato shreds, bacon, and eggs are mixed together? I think I can do it too. Calm down, calm down. The potato shreds are fine. Look at the official price of the bacon. You'll understand why the audience above only bought potatoes, eggs, and flour. These people, who drank light nutrient fluids all year round, didn't care about eating oily fried food for breakfast. They couldn't wait to eat the egg pancake to their heart's content. It would be even better if they could have some wine. Huo Chenhuan looked at the messages that kept flashing across the screen. Suddenly, she felt a little hungry. Her eyebrows furrowed slightly and then relaxed. She turned her wheelchair and went downstairs. Is there anything you don't understand after reading it once? If not, you can try it yourself. It doesn't matter if you fry more. If you can't finish it, you can give it to others. Su Yiyan was busy checking on the male chef's learning progress when she suddenly heard a familiar low voice from outside. Yan Yan. The string of comments that were originally really busy praising the egg pancakes seemed to be stuck. It went blank for 2 seconds before it exploded like a blowout. Was that the voice of the host's husband? Ah, this is the subwoofer of my dreams. I love this voice. A sexy subwoofer with a clear and mature voice. The host and her husband's voices are my cup of tea. It's such a waste not to use them as voice actresses. The host's voice is so nice. Even her husband's voice is so nice. If there was a man who used this voice to say goodnight to me every night, I definitely wouldn't have insomnia anymore. Hey, I'm in the kitchen. Su Yiyan didn't care how infatuated this group of people were with her male voice. She responded and ran out. After running a few steps, she seemed to have thought of something. She hurriedly turned back and took the plate of freshly fried egg pancakes away. Chapter 479. Wait, she took it away. Hey, hey, hey. Streamer, where are you going? Leave the pancakes for us. Panicked Air Kong Hand. JPG, host, you can look for your husband, but don't take the pancakes with you, host. Sob, sob, sob. I only took 2 bites and was still savoring the aftertaste, but the pancake is gone in the blink of an eye. Give my pancakes back, give them back. It was impossible to give them back. The male chef, who was left behind to inspect the results, cut the shredded potatoes with an indifferent expression. From time to time, he would raise his head to look at the bullet screen that flashed past with disdain. How could the young madam return the pancakes that she gave to their young master? How naive! The audience cried for a while before they calmed down with the sound of the male chef cutting vegetables. They looked at the male chef who replaced Su Yiyan in the center position and were both amused and angry. Sob, sob, sob. We want a cute little sweetheart, not a big guy who picks his feet. The male chef? This personal attack was too much. He never picks his feet. This is a Yanyan small kitchen. How can it be called a Yanyan small kitchen without a Yanyan? Report the host for skipping work during the live broadcast to date, and even let someone take her place, doghead. Host, come back. I can't bear it alone. Air Kong Hand. JPG, the male chef. Were all young people nowadays so good at acting? Su Yiyan, who was in a hurry to run out to see her husband, did not know that these audience members were good at acting. Even when she was not around, they could howl very sincerely. Holding the plate of freshly fried egg pancakes, Su Yiyan skipped over to Huo Chenhuan. Why are you up so early? I smelled the aroma of your cooking, so I got up. Su Yiyan blinked and was a little confused. Were the pancakes so fragrant? Could they float all the way from the first floor to their bedroom on the second floor? Fortunately, this question did not make her struggle for too long. Are you hungry? I just fried an egg pancake and it's still warm. Eat it while it's still hot. There will be other delicious food later. Okay. Huo Chenhuan took the plate. Su Yiyan remembered that the live broadcast was still going on, so she turned around to go back. Su Yiyan was stunned. What's wrong? She turned around and a piece of sliced egg pancake appeared in front of her. Have a piece first. Knowing that the man was worried about her cooking on an empty stomach, Su Yiyan opened her mouth and took a bite of the egg pancake. After chewing it, she didn't forget to express her thoughts. It's crispy and not salty at all. Take your time, I'll go back first. After watching Su Yiyan enter the small kitchen, Huo Chenhuan entered the live broadcast room unhurriedly. She picked up a piece of egg pancake and put it in her mouth. Looking at the screen full of mournful wails, he raised his eyebrows in a good mood. When Su Yiyan returned to the live broadcast room, it was inevitable that the screen was filled with questions that came directly from the soul. The host is back. Where's our pie? Where's the pancake? Where's the pancake? The host is back, but the pancake is gone. Crying, Host, is the man who just spoke your husband? Did you give your pancake to him? Do you still need to ask? It must be. Host, do you still remember the Little Cuties by Daming Lake? You actually gave up on us little cuties and gave the egg pancake to a dog man outside. I can't accept this. That's not a dog man. That's the host's husband. Wah, I cried so loudly that it scared my mom. Su Yiyan. Chapter 480. Su Yiyan was shocked by the dramatic performance of the audience. She coughed lightly and explained, It's my husband. I was afraid that he would get hungry early, so I sent some over first. Cold dog food, slap in the face, sad person, don't come back. There's something wrong with the person above. I almost sang it. Host, you only think about your husband being hungry, but don't you think about us being hungry too? I'm sad. I need a kiss and a hug from the host. Su Yiyan saw this comment and said without thinking, Of course my husband is more important. Heartbroken. I can't kiss and hug you. My husband will be jealous. I'm autistic. I'm not a fan for a minute. Su Yiyan touched her nose guiltily and pretended that nothing had happened. She said, Okay, let's see how he's doing. At this time, the male chef had already made the egg paste according to Su Yiyan's previous method and was about to pour it into the pot. When he heard Su Yiyan's words, his hand trembled and he almost poured the bowl of egg paste into the pot. Lower the heat. You need to be patient when frying this. Lower the heat and take it slow. Otherwise, it will burn easily. It had to be said that those who were invited to be private chefs at home had some skills. When the egg pancake was done, only the edges were left. He didn't control the heat well, so a small piece was black. Everything else was fine. The male chef naturally noticed this and he looked a little embarrassed. Su Yiyan felt that he was already very good. She said affirmatively, It's your first time making it like this. It's already very good. Keep up the good work. After saying that, she left him alone to slowly fumble around. She turned to the female chef who said that she made snacks before to make snacks. First, let's knead some dough. The dough takes a long time to ferment, so we have to prepare all the dough that will be used today in advance. Su Yiyan took out all kinds of rice noodles as she spoke. Today, we will make a total of 3 kinds of pastries. One is the flowering mantou, one is the mandarin duck dumplings, and the last one is the flour wonton. The dough for the flowering mantou needs to be fermented, so let's knead the dough first. The so-called blossoming mantou was nothing more than a combination of different flavors of dough stacked together, allowing a mantou to have several flavors. Then, a little trick was used to make the mantou more colorful and beautiful. Su Yiyan used spinach juice, pumpkin, and purple sweet potato as ingredients. The spinach juice could dye the white dough green, the pumpkin juice could dye the white dough yellow, and the purple sweet potato was purple. Su Yiyan planned to make a lot of these steamed buns at once. Naturally, he needed a lot of raw materials. The dough that he needed could be said to be quite huge. She and the other female chef had limited strength. In the end, They had to ask the male chef who was busy making pancakes for help before they finally finished kneading the dough. When the audience saw this scene, they had already burst into laughter. I've watched the live stream for so long, but this is the first time I've seen the streamer in such a sorry state. Her hands must be sore by the end of the massage. Haha, I'm used to seeing the host's omnipotent look. Although I feel a little distressed, I still want to laugh. Sorry, I usually don't laugh easily unless I can't hold it in. Haha, logically speaking, these dough balls are so big. They should be even bigger after fermenting. Is the host preparing to make a lot of food? Starry-eyed. Chapter 481. Su Yiyen relaxed her wrist for a while before feeling better. When she saw the message, she smiled faintly and said, "Yes, I need to make more." The audience was overjoyed, thinking that the extra things were prepared for them. Does that mean that we can have a few more slots for the lucky draw later? The winning rate has finally increased. Before the audience could finish their excitement, Su Yiyen poured a bucket of cold water on them. That's not it. These are benefits for the employees who are still working hard today. Many of the expectant audience felt as if their hearts were pierced by thousands of arrows. Some of the new audience members were a little confused. Did I go to the wrong place? Is this really a live broadcast room? Aren't anchors generally very kind to the audience, or even to please the audience? Why is this anchor not only not pleasing the fans, but also pouring cold water on us? What was even more frightening was that there were still so many audience members who did not turn from fans to haters and did not leave the live broadcast room after being humiliated so rudely. The old audience members were also very helpless. They were angry and amused at the same time, but they could not lose their temper at their beloved anchor. Of course I chose to forgive her. Otherwise, what else can I do? I can see that the anchor is really happy today. She is a little floating. Sob, sob, sob. When I think of the anchor's subwoofer husband, I feel like crying. I also want to have a subwoofer husband who says he loves me affectionately every day, then kisses and hugs me high up. If the employees in the restaurant are little cuties, aren't we little cuties too? Please ask if the anchor's restaurant is still hiring people, the kind who went to college and can write programs. The audience in the live broadcast room naturally thought that the employees Su Yiyen mentioned were the ones in her medicinal cuisine restaurant. They decisively began to recommend themselves on the spot. Little did they know that the medicinal cuisine restaurant was closed today and was not open at all. However, when Su Yiyen saw this message, her mind suddenly recalled the joke that Hu Chenhuan had made not long ago. Her eyes turned, and she jokingly said, "Okay, I'll be hiring people in the next 1 or 2 months. Those who can write programs will be priority." The audience member was just joking. He did not expect to be seen by Su Yiyen and get a response. In a split second, some programmers who thought they were capable were overjoyed. They kept asking, "Is it true? When will the recruitment begin?" As soon as Hu Chenhuan heard Su Yiyen's words, she knew what she meant. She found it funny and complicated at the same time. He never thought that there would be a day when he would have to rely on his wife. However, this feeling wasn't bad. Some people who were skilled in this area were happy, but those who had not studied this area were sad. You are about to lose your cute baby. JPG, you are about to lose your cute baby. JPG, Su Yiyen really wanted to laugh when she saw the emoticons all over the screen. Fortunately, these people's attention was quickly attracted by the thing in Su Yiyen's hands. After kneading the dough, Su Yiyen immediately began to make the dumplings. In order to make the dumplings look more beautiful, Su Yiyen used clear noodles and cornstarch. This kind of noodles is called qingmian. Only after boiling it with corn flour and stirring it with boiling water can it become a crystal clear paste. The appearance of the steamed dumplings is as crystal clear as gauze. Qingmian? I've never heard of it. What's cornstarch? Why does the streamer always have some strange things? It should be something that only chefs know. I did a search and there are indeed such things. It's just that we don't know about it. If I didn't watch the anchor's live broadcast, I wouldn't know that there are so many kinds of flour. Chapter 482. This statement was supported by many people. Most people did not cook their own food. Even if they wanted to eat these things, they would go to high-end restaurants outside. What they ate were all finished products. How would they know what these things were made of? After kneading the dough, Su Yan began to roll the dumpling skin. After rolling a few, she handed the job over to the female chef. She went to the side to prepare the stuffing. The stuffing of these dumplings did not have a fixed formula. It was basically chosen according to one's personal taste. Su Yan chose a few dishes that she and Hu Chenhuan liked. She shredded and minced them. Her movements were neat and tidy. In just a moment, the small pile of vegetables became a bowl of hua green stuffing. Not to mention the audience in the live broadcast room, even the few people who were busy cooking in the room could not help but be attracted by Su Yan's chopping movements. Although there were not many chefs in this era, the family that could afford to hire a chef would not be too bad. Generally speaking, the kitchen would be equipped with some simple tools necessary for a chef. The vegetable cutting machine was one of them. Because of this, many chefs' knife skills were not particularly good. Take the male chef who was assigned to fry the shredded potatoes, for example. If he had not seen Su Yan cut the shredded potatoes herself, he would not have wanted to try cutting them himself. However, after cutting for a while, he finally faced up to the differences between himself and Su Yan. He threw the potato pieces of different thickness into the vegetable cutting machine. People would always have a subtle sense of envy and worship when they could not do something that others could do. That was how the few people in the live broadcast room and many people in the live broadcast room felt. Su Yan did not know about this. After making the stuffing, she and the female chef began to make the dumplings. One of the major characteristics of Mandarin duck dumplings was its shape. After the stuffing in the bag was closed, it was pinched tightly from the middle. Then, it was pinched along the sides to the middle. When the sides were pinched again, it would become a small dumpling with concave folds. It was a little like xiaomai. Many people did not even see Su Yan's movements clearly. A small dumpling had already appeared in front of them. An army of question marks once again occupied the entire screen. Similarly, the female chef sitting opposite Su Yan was also dumbfounded. Su Yan also noticed this. He coughed lightly and said, "I wrapped it too quickly just now. This time, I'll wrap it slower. First like this, then like this." The second time, Su Yan's wrapping speed was much slower. The female chef saw it clearly, but she was still not very familiar with it. After that, Su Yan demonstrated a few more times before the female chef was finally able to make a finished dumpling. However, the shape was still a bit unsightly. The female chef was quite embarrassed. She was clearly a professional who had been specially hired, but in the end, her cooking skills were not as good as the lady boss's. She was really a little depressed. Today was destined to be a day of frustration for these people. Out of curiosity, many viewers in the live streaming channel imitated Su Yan and tried to create a few balls. However, all of them failed. Once again, it proves the previous sentence. The streamer's seemingly simple production techniques are really deadly in our hands. Just now, when I tried to imitate the streamer's movements, I almost twisted my hand. Now, my hand is turned into a chicken's claw and I can't break it. There are some things that the streamer does that are pleasing to the eye. When I try to do it, I'm just scratching my claw and becoming depressed. Chapter 483. Su Yan could not help but chuckle out loud when she heard the phrase, "chicken claw blind." The female chef carefully observed Su Yan's movements. After practicing more than 10 times, she gradually became familiar with it. Although she wasn't as fast as Su Yan, the things she made weren't as horrible as before. The two of them made a lot of dumplings at the fastest speed and then began to make small wontons. Compared to Mandarin duck dumplings, wontons were much simpler. They just needed to be pinched and wouldn't fall apart. By the time the two of them finished making small wontons and dumplings, the dough was almost fermented. "This is spinach dough, this is pumpkin dough, and this is purple potato dough," Su Yan said as he took out a dough each. Two were rolled into skin, one was kneaded into a ball, and the other was wrapped into the dough. The dough was kneaded into the shape of a steamed bun. Then, he used a knife to draw a cross on the steamed bun. There are 3 flavors of dough. You can choose which one to wrap on the outside and which one to wrap on the inside. Actually, you can choose other ingredients, but I suggest you choose ingredients with brighter colors. That way, it will look better when steamed. The steamed bun was easy to make. The female chef was slightly relieved. At least she had regained some confidence as a chef. The dumplings were steamed one by one, and the wontons were boiled in water. By the time the flowering mantus were almost done, the 2 of them had finished making the soup. The first 2 soups that the female chef was watching were almost done. Su Yayan asked someone to steam some steamed buns while she taught the female chef who was watching the soup to make 2 types of porridge. The moment everything was cooked, the entire kitchen was filled with the sweet aroma of the soup and porridge. After waiting for so long, it was all worth it. The taste of this chicken soup is amazing. It's not oily or fishy, and the taste is mellow. It's slightly sweet, but it's not too sweet. I feel warm all over after drinking it. I prefer the yam chicken soup. The taste isn't so complicated, and the chicken is delicious. I like this small wonton. The skin is thin and the ingredients are especially good. The taste of the soup is completely different from the pan-fried one. It's super delicious. I really don't know how the streamer's brain works. Not only is the food delicious, but she can also come up with so many different ways to eat it. Upstairs, pay attention to your technique when praising people. At first glance, I thought you were scolding the streamer, laughing emoji. But if we're talking about thin skin, shouldn't the Mandarin duck dumpling have the thinnest skin? This is the first time I've seen such a transparent skin. In the words of the host, it's sparkling and translucent. Looking at it, my maiden heart surged. I want to bring it home and worship it. Is there no one who likes the blossoming mantu? It seems to be quite easy to make, and the finished product is super beautiful. Layer by layer, the color is bright, and it's soft when bitten. It's super delicious. The so-called blossoming steamed bun was a blossoming steamed bun with a cross-shaped knife. After it was steamed, it would expand further and blossom into a flower-like shape, allowing people to see the layers of different colored dough inside. Although this kind of steamed bun didn't have a dent, it had a lot of different flavors and was rich in layers. Once bitten, there was a variety of flavors. The taste didn't lose out to those stuffed buns at all. Su Yiyan saw that although there were some differences in the comments on the bullet screen, they were generally harmonious and rational. She smiled faintly and finished the last few lucky draws. Then, she happily ran out to find her husband for breakfast. Chapter 484. When Su Yiyan put away her apron and came out of the kitchen, she found that everything on the table was still intact. Except for the egg pancake she took out at the beginning, everything else was basically untouched. Why don't you eat? It's so late. Aren't you hungry? I'm waiting for you, Hu Chenhuan said and waved to Su Yiyan, asking her to come to his side. What's wrong? Su Yiyan came to him in confusion. As soon as she finished speaking, her hand was held. His slender fingers rested on her wrist and gently rubbed it, helping her relieve the soreness and fatigue caused by excessive work. Are you happy today? Su Yiyan did not hide her joy. I made a lot of delicious food today. We can't finish it by ourselves. Let's send some to my mother and Xiaoyang's company. Hu Chenhuan's hands paused slightly. For the people of Xiaoyang's company? Su Yiyan nodded. The employees of their company are still working today, right? Fantasy Feast would be released in 2 days. Therefore, even on the weekend, the employees of Gu Xiaoyang's company were still working overtime to make the final push. They work so hard to make money for us. As their boss's wife, I should give them some benefits to thank them, right? Just because of this. Of course, it was not just because of this. The reason why Su Yiyan got up early in the morning to make so many things to send them was mainly because the game world that allowed Hu Chenhuan to temporarily enjoy the experience of standing on 2 legs was created by them. Even though the idea was originally proposed by Hu Chenhuan, they just followed the request of their boss and restored that world. But reasonably, Su Yiyen still wanted to do something to thank them. Did you just ask several chefs to help you? Yes, it's too time-consuming and troublesome for me to do it alone. It's probably noon when I finished. Huo Chenhuan thought for a moment and asked in a low voice. The audience in the live broadcast room didn't say anything, right? He got up late today and missed a small part of Su Yiyen's live broadcast. He did not know if any of the chefs deliberately made a fuss when they entered the live broadcast room. Although Yu Zian almost sent people to guard Su Yiyen's live broadcast room, Huo Chenhuan was still afraid that Su Yiyen would be wronged if he did not keep watch. The audience in the live broadcast room? What could they say? Su Yiyen rolled her eyes and suddenly thought of something. She chuckled softly. Speaking of which, there's a super cute girl in my live streaming room. The expression on Huo Chenhuan's face suddenly froze. Housekeeper, sister? President Hua, who was used to keeping a straight face even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him, felt dizzy when he heard this. After some time, he asked with difficulty. How do you know she's a girl? Su Yiyen blinked innocently. He said so himself. Huo Jinyao, who had shot himself in the foot. Huo Chenhuan went quiet for some time before he finally found his voice. He frowned and said, there are all kinds of people online. What they say might not be true. Su Yiyen had already sat down opposite him. She rested her chin on one hand and looked at him ambiguously. Are you saying that you think he's lying to me? Chapter 485. Hua Liar Chenhuan, who realized that he had jumped from one pit to another, was speechless. Ahem! Huo Chenhuan guiltily avoided Su Yiyen's eyes, not daring to look into her eyes. You can't let your guard down. He might not be lying to you, but you still have to be on your guard. Su Yiyen seemed to be convinced and nodded. Then she seemed to think of something and chuckled. But the website has changed. Online users have to use their real gender. I looked at his gender column, and it's indeed a girl. Huo Chenhuan's body stiffened again when he heard that. He had deliberately changed that name in order to protect his identity. He didn't expect that it would become his death sentence. Maybe I'm overthinking. Huo Chenhuan was defeated and silently gave up. Su Yiyen stared at his side profile and smiled. She suddenly felt that it was quite fun to scare him occasionally. When Su Yiyen and Huo Jinyao were eating breakfast, the steamed buns, wonton dumplings, and pancakes made by the male chef had already been packed and sent to Gu Xiaoyang's employees. Some Chinese herbs were added to the porridge and soup. In order to avoid unsuitable food for some people, they didn't prepare much and only prepared a portion for home use. Even so, Gu Xiaoyang was dumbfounded when he received the big gift personally delivered by Uncle Zhang. As the person in charge of Fantasy Feast, he was working overtime today and missed Su Yiyen's live broadcast. He didn't know that these things were prepared for the employees who worked overtime over the weekend. Yu Zian and Huo Jinyao knew, but they thought that Su Yiyen was referring to the people in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Young madam said that you worked overtime over the weekend and didn't know if you had a good meal. She asked me to send you some food. I don't know if it's to your taste, but just make do with it. Gu Xiaoyang looked at the exquisite pastries and rows of wonton soup in the box and thought that if this was considered making do with it, then what they had before was probably pig's feed. Of course. Everyone in the company knows that young madam's cooking is top-notch. If I had known that working overtime would bring me such good luck, I would have let those bastards in the company take over the company. Please go back and thank young madam for her concern for our employees. I will distribute these things to the employees as soon as possible. I'll have to trouble you then. It's no trouble. After sending Uncle Zhang off, Gu Xiaoyang immediately took out his mobile phone and took a 360-degree picture of the spectacular pile of food in front of him. After he took the picture, he sent a picture to the companies to send people to help. The other one was sent to the small group of 3 to show off, tactfully. Young madam personally made the overtime meal. Today's unexpected surprise, he, Zuyen Bai, Yu Zian. The two people in the group sent several shocked emojis. In the end, Yu Zian was the first to ask, why? Why did you all get the free meal made by young madam? Only I didn't get it. Gu Xiaoyang immediately said, I'll save a share for you. Yu Zian replied immediately, Good brother. I'll go now. Zui Yanbai looked at the rich food in the picture and was a little tempted. Then I'll also, there's no share for you. Get out. Zui Yanbai. This plastic brotherly relationship really broke just like that. Chapter 486. What happened in the game kept Su Yiyen in a good mood for several days. So much so that on the morning she returned to work in Dongqing, she still talked to Huo Chenhuan about his legs. Kiss me at work, Mua. Su Yin quickly leaned over and kissed him when he wasn't paying attention. Do your rehabilitation at home. I'm waiting for the day when you can stand in front of me. Huo Chenhuan had long been used to her sneak attacks. He said indifferently, Can't wait. Of course. Although she had seen Huo Chenhuan stand up in the game, the virtual world was still a little different from reality. In comparison, she still hoped to see Huo Chenhuan completely recover in reality. Can't wait to see me stand up as soon as possible, or can't wait to have a fat baby with me as soon as possible. Su Yen was stunned and muttered in a low voice, How do you know it must be a fat baby and not a girl? Huo Chenhuan's eyes lit up slightly. A girl is good. I like a girl. So, it's the second kind? Su Yen snorted coldly. Can't it be both? After saying that, she turned around and got into the car without waiting for Huo Chenhuan's reaction. Huo Chenhuan looked at her back as she fled. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised, but his eyes became inexplicably dangerous. Su Yen ran to work in high spirits. As soon as she got out of the car, she saw several groups of reporters squatting not far away. At first, she didn't pay much attention to them. She thought that these reporters were invited by an artist in the company to do publicity. Unexpectedly, as soon as she got out of the car and walked inside, the group of people suddenly moved and quickly surrounded her. Su Yayan was shocked, and a sense of foreboding rose in her heart. Sure enough, the group of people's goal was very clear. They surrounded her in the blink of an eye. Miss Su, Dongqing used to be your brother's company. You suddenly took over Dongqing. What's your brother's attitude? Miss Su, it's rumored on the internet that your husband is your ex-fiancé's uncle. May I know when you two confirmed your relationship? Miss Su, about the rumors about you and your company's artist, Luo Weibing, is it true that it's just a groundless rumor? Miss Su. One after another, microphones were poked in front of Su Yiyen, wishing that they could poke directly into her mouth and magnify all the words in her heart in front of the public. Su Yiyen's brows furrowed slightly. Her expression was a little unsightly. You've got the wrong person. I'm not a celebrity, so I'm not obligated to answer your questions. I'm going into work, please step aside. The people around her obviously didn't expect Su Yiyen to say so. They were stunned for a moment, but still didn't want to leave. They still surrounded her and didn't step back. Xia Junxing just entered the hall on the first floor. When he was about to go upstairs, he heard someone exclaim, Boss Su is at the door of our company. She's surrounded by a lot of unscrupulous reporters. She can't get in. Xia Junxing was shocked. He turned his head and saw the movement outside through the glass door. He hurriedly called the security guards to help. Step aside, please step aside. Xia Junxing followed several security guards and quickly pushed the reporters away. He came to Su Yiyen and wanted to escort her out of the encirclement of the group of people. When the crowd saw that Su Yiyen was about to leave, they woke up from a dream. How could they let her go? They began to squeeze in, not forgetting to ask loudly. Chapter 487. Miss Su, are you keeping quiet because you have a guilty conscience? Miss Su, rumor has it that you hooked up with your current husband before breaking off the engagement with your ex-fiancé. You and your ex-fiancé both cheated on each other one after the other. Is that true? Miss Su, an insider revealed that your current husband has been disabled for many years because of an accident and can't stand up anymore. Is that true? Miss Su, one question after another was thrown at Su Yiyen. Looking at the tall and strong security guards in front of them, many people's hearts skipped a beat. In fact, they didn't expect Su Yiyen to give any response. However, because of this, some people had already begun to calculate that if Su Yiyen left like this, they could also fabricate a piece of news that said, the current person in charge of Dongqing City avoided talking about the affair in the face of the author's questions and was suspected of having a guilty conscience. There were many such specious news articles. As long as the word suspected was attached, it wouldn't be considered as a rumor. Su Yiyen was too lazy to answer the questions at first, but then she heard them mention Hua Chenhuan. She stopped in her tracks and her eyes suddenly became fierce. What did you just say? The crowd didn't expect Su Yiyen to suddenly stop and take the initiative to ask them what they had just said. They were stunned for a few seconds before they reacted. Miss Su, an insider revealed that your current husband didn't get injured recently, but has an old injury for many years. That is to say, your husband is disabled. Su Yiyen didn't wait for the person to finish and interrupted him first. My husband's leg is indeed an old injury. As soon as Su Yiyen said this, everyone present couldn't help but gasp. Even Xia Junxing couldn't help but frown, intuitively feeling that things were going to be bad. However, before the reporters could ask again, Su Yiyen had already taken the lead and said, the reason why it's an old injury is that he unfortunately met a Mongolian doctor a few years ago, and the treatment was delayed. Now that he has found a doctor who can really cure him, naturally, it will be better. Miss Su, do you mean that your husband's legs can be cured? Su Yiyen could already tell that this reporter was not friendly, so his reply became even more impolite. The relevant news is still on my public account. If this reporter has eyes, he should be able to see it. The reporter choked and muttered with some dissatisfaction, how can an old injury be cured just because you say so? I'm afraid he's treating everyone as fools. Are you questioning me? Su Yiyen glanced at him coldly and chuckled. Whatever you say. I just hope that you won't be too surprised when you see him walking as if he's flying. When the reporter heard this, he opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he seemed to have thought of something and did not dare to act rashly. Seeing this, the other reporters stepped forward and pushed that person away, trying to dig out more news from Su Yiyen. Miss Su, there's a rumor that you're with your current husband before your engagement with Family Hua was annulled. You and Family Hua are actually having an affair. Is this true? When did you and your husband get to know each other and confirm your relationship? My husband and I only got together after my engagement with Hua Xiaofeng was annulled. If I was already with him before then, wouldn't it be fine if Hua Xiaofeng and I peacefully annulled our engagement? Why did he have to make such a scene at someone's father's wedding and let everyone know that there's such a piece of trash in his family? Chapter 488. The reporter choked, then continued to ask, then when did you two get together? We did get together not long after our engagement was annulled. To be precise, they got together right after their engagement was annulled. However, if this were to be revealed, it would cause a lot of criticism. She knew very well that she gradually fell in love with Hua Chenhuan after her death in her previous life. Before that, there was nothing out of the ordinary between them. However, the group of people in front of her didn't know, and neither did the others. Hua Xiaofeng brought his little girlfriend to his father's birthday banquet and publicly asked me to annul my engagement with him to fulfill their wish. During the argument, I was pushed down the stairs by the woman and fell into a coma. My husband couldn't stand it and asked someone to help my parents send me to the hospital. That was when we started to interact. No one could find fault with Su Yiyen's words. The two of them only started to interact officially after their engagement was annulled. Once the engagement was annulled, she would be a free woman. Who she interacted with, who she was with, and whose wife she became, it would no longer have anything to do with the previous one. Then are you on good terms with your husband now? My relationship with my husband isn't good. Who else can I be on good terms with? The reporter who asked the question had interviewed many artists in the industry before. These artists didn't dare to offend the reporter for fear that the reporter would write nonsense, so they usually answered the reporter's questions politely and tactfully. This was the first time he met someone who was so stubborn. His face immediately turned red and he complained in a low voice, "Do you have to be so rude? Don't get angry out of embarrassment." Su Yiyen sneered and didn't give in to him. "In front of the camera, please take responsibility for your words. I can sue you anytime." The reporter's face darkened. Although he was indignant, he still shut his mouth in fear. He might not care about what other people said, but when Su Yiyen said it, he felt an inexplicable sense of panic. After all, President Su sued a bunch of internet celebrities 2 days ago and directly overturned the management company that dared to mess with her artist. Why else would it be said that it was better to offend a villain than a woman? If a woman was really ruthless, there was nothing a man could do. Another reporter took the opportunity to ask, "What kind of person do you think your husband is?" Su Yiyen said without thinking, "Naturally, he's the best man in the world." "I can see that you love your husband very much." Su Yiyen said in her heart, "Of course, if I don't love my husband, do you think I would love those wild men I'm not familiar with outside?" Just as the words were about to come out of his mouth, he thought about it again. This report was very likely to be seen by his sensitive and jealous lover. Su Yiyen's eyes turned slightly, and he immediately changed his mind. "You might not understand even if I tell you about it." All the reporters? What the hell? Was she mocking them for being single? Let's put it this way. Have you ever chased after a celebrity? Everyone was stunned when they heard this. A few of the younger male and female reporters were a little embarrassed. Su Yiyen looked at them and understood. She smiled and said, "If you were to be with your idol or your goddess, can you imagine how it would feel?" Of course, they would be so happy that they would want to fly and give their hearts to him or her. Su Yiyen saw the changes in their expressions. She raised the corners of her eyes and said sweetly, "That's how I feel when I'm with him." Chapter 489. What was supposed to be a gathering of reporters suddenly turned into a large-scale public display of affection and abuse of single dogs. The single reporters were speechless. F***ck, she was showing off. She was definitely showing off. "I don't just love him, I also worship him. He's my god. He's not someone ordinary people like you can compare to." Su Yiyen glanced at the reporters surrounding her and sneered. She quickly followed Xia Junxing into the company. By the time the reporters reacted, Su Yiyen had already disappeared. Only the men and women who felt like they had been attacked countless times stood there, gnashing their teeth. Xia Junxing watched the commotion from the side and silently wiped the cold sweat on his head. "It was too dangerous just now. I was almost scared to death when I heard what you said to them." Any random clip could become the target of some keyboard warrior's attacks. It really scared him so much that his heartbeat went out of order for a few seconds. Su Yiyen glanced at him and chuckled. "What are you afraid of? Don't forget, I'm the boss, not an artist." Although the boss was also the face of the company, artists had their own persona, and the boss naturally had his own persona. Some words were disrespectful to the seniors, immoral and arrogant, but the boss was straightforward, domineering, and daring to love and hate. Xia Junxing was amused by her words. "You still know that you're the boss? I thought you'd forget who you are when you heard those reporters talk about your husband." Su Yiyen's face turned red for 2 or 3 seconds, then it turned into an unconcealable pride. Ask someone to keep an eye on the movements of public opinion online. Once you find that someone is taking the opportunity to create trouble, don't be polite to them. Sue them at any time. Xia Junxing was speechless. A woman in love was very scary when she was angry. As soon as Su Yiyen stepped into the company, the incident at the entrance of the company spread to Huo. "Young master, young madam went to work this morning and encountered some trouble." Encountered some trouble? Huo's eyes turned cold. Did she suffer a loss? No, the ones who suffered a loss were those reporters. Young madam strongly defended you and your marriage. Defended? Huo's eyes lit up. Is there a video of the scene? Yes. The bodyguard who was in charge of secretly following Su Yiyen today silently took out the video he had recorded and handed it to Huo. Ever since he was assigned to follow young madam and secretly protect her safety, Big Brother bodyguard felt that he was becoming more and more like a stalker and a saying fan. Having a boss who was infatuated with his wife was really scary. Hua Chenhuan didn't know what the bodyguard was thinking. After she saw the whole thing, especially when she saw Su Yiyan say that he was her god in front of so many people, her eyes were so gentle that they could drip water. The bodyguard felt jealous as he watched from the side. He envied his boss for having a wife who liked him so much and protected him so much. It was because he was envious that he tried to remind him, "Young master, there's nothing wrong with young madam's actions. I'm just worried that some people might take these things out of context and deliberately slander you and young madam." Upon hearing his words, Hua Chenhuan's gentle gaze instantly turned as sharp as a knife. Find a few celebrities or VIPs from Yanyan's company and post this video. Also, find out which newspaper companies the reporters who asked Yanyan questions came from. Chapter 490. Instead of letting people take things out of context and smear her, it was better to seize the opportunity and take the initiative to expose these things first, so that they couldn't make it up. Hearing this, the bodyguard asked cautiously, "What will you do after you find out?" Hua Chenhuan didn't say anything and just looked up at him. The tall and strong bodyguard, who was at least 1.8 meters tall, felt a chill on his back and said stiffly, "I see. I'll arrange it now." As soon as he walked to the gate, he heard Hua Chenhuan's flat voice behind him. "This month's bonus will be doubled." The bodyguard suddenly stopped as if he was fleeing from a disaster. The little panic in his heart was instantly corroded by the money bomb. In fact, it was quite good to protect the young madam. He casually took a small video back and the bonus was doubled. The bodyguard thought, this kind of thing can happen a few more times. The bodyguard had to do his best to get his bonus at the end of the month. He immediately contacted Xia Junxing and asked him to help recommend a female celebrity under the company's artist. It would be a free wave of popularity for the other party. Xia Junxing thought about it and finally decided on a female celebrity under Xue Caiwei's name. The game that Xue Caiwei and Luo Weibing were endorsing was about to be released. Luo Weibing had just been involved in a scandal with Su Yiyan 2 days ago. His fans were obviously not suitable, but Xue Caiwei's side didn't matter. Soon, the female celebrity cooperated with Xia Junxing and released the video. She claimed that she knew that Xue Caiwei had an event today, so she squatted outside the company and prepared to take a few photos of her at work before she went to work. However, instead of her goddess, she accidentally bumped into the scene where her goddess boss was surrounded by a group of reporters. After that, she praised Su Yiyan with this video and tried to please the new boss in all aspects for her goddess, so that she could treat their goddess well and give her more resources that were worthy of her. Many of Xue Caiwei's fans originally paid attention to this female celebrity. In addition, most of the marketing accounts that liked to dig for news would pay attention to this kind of famous celebrity's fans. As soon as this video was released, many people saw it at once. After watching the video, I'm confused. Didn't President Su explain the relevant questions on the internet? These people are still asking over and over again. What are you trying to do? Of course, they want to annoy President Su. If he says something shocking in a fit of anger, wouldn't they have something to write about? I'm really annoyed by these annoying reporters. Although I understand their job, it's obvious that they don't want to talk to them, but they keep coming over like flies and won't let them go. It's really annoying. President Su, you're wrong. Even if you're a celebrity, you have no obligation to answer these people's rubbish questions. Each and every one of them was really annoying. They were like flies that couldn't be chased away, and it was disgusting to slap them to death. In the past, my brother encountered such a situation. They kept pestering you to answer their questions. If you didn't answer, they would say that you were arrogant, uncooperative, and impolite. Then, it would escalate to a question of your character. After he answered, he started to be aggressive again. He looked as if he wanted to suck the artist's blood dry. Super scary. Some fans of other artists, because of the reporter's familiar questioning routine, began to sympathize with Su Yiyan's experience. As for the reporters who were chasing Su Yiyan aggressively, they inevitably became the target of the angry fans. Chapter 491. Just as the bodyguard had expected, these people were used to being praised. Now that they had suffered a loss because of Su Yiyan, they naturally wouldn't let it go. When they went back, they prepared to use the existing information to fabricate some specious news about Su Yiyan. Anyway, the entertainment industry was like this. Although rumors might not necessarily become true, it could at least make the public's first impression of some people bad. Because of this, the artists in the entertainment industry were so afraid of them. They received too much attention and were destined to attract some jealousy. At this time, if there was a shit-stirrer stirring up trouble in the industry, even if it couldn't hurt them, it would be enough to disgust them. These people thought that Su Yiyan was like this, but they didn't expect her to be so confident and unwilling to suffer a loss. After insulting them in front of their faces, she took the first step and posted the full version of the video on the internet. They didn't even have the chance to fabricate news. These people were sullen and angry. They secretly planned to get back at her sooner or later. However, they didn't expect that after they asked those questions, they would no longer have the chance to appear in the entertainment industry. In addition to being angry at these reporters, some people were very interested in the history of Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan's relationship. So it's because of this that they got together. So, strictly speaking, that ex-fiancé is a matchmaker? I wonder if he's angry to death now. Of course, Hua Xiaofeng was about to die of anger. Although he and Su Yiyan had broken off the engagement, in his heart, there was still a subtle feeling. He felt that he couldn't let another man take advantage of the woman he didn't want. Not to mention that this man was his uncle, who he disliked the most. She was obviously a useless person who couldn't do anything. How could anyone like her? Hua Xiaofeng stared at Su Yiyan's unrestrained and flamboyant appearance in the video. He watched her seriously talk about her feelings for Hua Chenhuan. His eyes were about to bleed. Especially when he heard Su Yiyan say that Hua Chenhuan might be able to stand up again soon. Hua Xiaofeng sneered, "Hee, stand up again? How is that possible? It's fake, it's definitely fake. That useless person can only be a cripple for life, for life." Although some people believed Su Yiyan's words, there were also some who didn't. You fell in love with him just because he sent you to the hospital? Isn't this a little too exaggerated? It's definitely not because of that. A good fiancé suddenly cheating, and you can even say that he's a mistress. Then, he brought his mistress to break off the engagement with you in public. You can imagine how much damage it would be to a girl. At this time, if a gentle and considerate man came to ask about your well-being and care, it wouldn't take long for you to fall for him. There's a saying that the best way to heal a broken relationship is to start a new one. If that's the case, does that mean President Su's current husband is taking advantage of the situation? What the hell is this about taking advantage of the situation? The scumbag had already cheated on his mistress, and he was still trying to force his fiancée to break off the engagement. Was President Su going to stay chaste for the rest of her life after being cheated on? What kind of feudal thinking is this? Do you really think that you're an ancient emperor, and all the girls in the world have to revolve around you? I still think that this woman's words are too exaggerated. Just because someone saved you and comforted you when you were down, you treat him as your true love and God. If this isn't an act, they must have hooked up a long time ago. Chapter 492. Watch your mouth. Aren't you just jealous of President Su and her husband's immortal love? The commenter above probably hasn't been in a relationship before. Girls tend to be especially vulnerable after they get hurt. If a man treats you sincerely at a time like this, there are usually two situations. One is that he's afraid of his previous relationship and doesn't dare to give up his feelings easily. The other is that he's quickly fallen into a new relationship. President Su is obviously the second type, so there's nothing strange about this. Even though that was the case, some people still didn't understand. Some people even thought that if they followed this explanation, Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan's marriage was precipitated by Su Yiyan's impulse. Impulse was called impulse because it was temporary and couldn't last forever. Therefore, a marriage like this wasn't strong and it was very likely that it would lead to a divorce. Only Su Yiyan knew that when she lost everything and her entire world became dark and hopeless, he would always protect her. Even after she died, he still gave up everything for her and avenged her family at all costs. After he succeeded, he didn't hesitate to commit suicide for her. It was only half a year, but it felt like a lifetime to her. How could she not be attracted to him after seeing all this with her own eyes? She was human and she had a heart. No matter how cold the ice was, it would be melted by him. How could her heart not be moved by him? With everyone's interruption, Su Yiyan and Hua Xiaofeng's broken engagement was dug up and discussed again. I've heard about the incident between Miss Su and family Hua's eldest young master. After that incident, many people laughed at the Su family behind their backs. They thought that Miss Su was useless and couldn't keep her man. She deserved to have her fiancé snatched away and become a mistress. Oh my God! Is this for real? There are still people with such thoughts. It's clearly the man's fault, so why are they laughing at the girl? What kind of twisted view is this? This insider wasn't lying. Men and women were equal, but the world's prejudice against women had always been there. Although the Su family was not as rich as the family Hua, they were a harmonious family. Mr. Su could be considered a weirdo in the upper class. As his career grew, he never despised his wife who had gone through hardships. Instead, he doted on her more and more. He was many times better than those playboys who kept the red flag at home as soon as they became rich and had colorful flags fluttering outside the house. Even for Mrs. Hua of Hua Qihan's family, the two of them looked very harmonious on the outside, but when they returned home, they would be bossed around by her husband and ordered around. Before she got married, she was a pampered daughter of her family. After she got married, she was doted on by her husband. She also had a pair of sensible and lovely children. Cheng Xiuqin naturally attracted the envy and jealousy of many upper-class madams. Everything had been smooth sailing for half of his life, and the only thing that went wrong was his daughter's marriage. Even if many people did not dare to say it in front of them, they would definitely make a lot of sarcastic remarks behind their backs. This is still considered good. Later, when Miss Su married family Hua's youngest uncle, they were the ones who made nasty remarks. They said that Miss Su's reputation was ruined and she couldn't get married. She gave up on herself and married a good-for-nothing. Even Miss Su's parents were said to have sold their daughter for the sake of reputation. F***ck, I thought that those low-life keyboard warriors on the internet had bad mouths. Why are these successful people? Chapter 493. Jealousy doesn't matter if you're successful or not. It only matters if the other person is living a better life than you. Whether it's happiness or suffering, it's all about comparison. Upstairs, are those who know the truth still there? Hurry up and continue. What happened after that? What else can happen? In order to stand up for his wife, Uncle Family Hua held the wedding in a private group. There was a beautiful manor on the island, and beautiful blue roses were planted in the courtyard because Sister Su liked blue roses. After the wedding, the manor and the island were given to Sister Su as a wedding gift. Needless to say, many of the people who were still complaining online at this time were young single dogs. Boys and girls of this age were all good, and they more or less still had a trace of fantasy about love. This is true love. In the ancient novels, I'm willing to marry you with a large sum of money. It's actually true. Mommy, I believe in love again. Imagining family Hua's uncle couldn't bear to drag his beloved down because of health reasons. Therefore, he silently watched his beloved woman marry someone else and planned to secretly protect her for the rest of her life. In the end, he didn't expect that his beloved woman would meet a scumbag. The uncle flew into a rage and spent all his savings to marry her for his beloved woman. This plot. Come. I'll give you the pen. You write it. Affectionate mysterious overlord ex-scumbag queen. He's good-looking, gentle, considerate, rich, and dotes on his wife. I'm eating this pear. What are you guys waiting for? Start writing. It's a pity that President Su's husband only has one photo. President Su rarely appears except for the previous video of her tearing scumbags apart. Otherwise, we can also produce our own food. Needless to say, sometimes, having a hole in one's imagination wasn't a bad thing. If one wasn't careful, they might find out the truth. Huo Chenhuan looked at the passers-by who had nothing better to do on the internet. They had already started to write about him and Su Yiyan. The corners of his lips curled up slightly. Then, he thought of the criticism that Su Yiyan had received when he married her, and his face darkened. This was the scene that Zui Yanbai saw when he entered the room. His heart skipped a beat. He straightened his clothes and walked to Huo Chenhuan's side. Young master, the 40th anniversary of the founding of the Huo Corporation is in a few days. You didn't attend in the past, but this year. Moreover, Huo Chenhuan was also a member of the family Huo. Although old master Huo had given the Huo Corporation to Huo Qihan, he had not mistreated his son and had still given him enough shares in the company. Therefore, Huo Chenhuan was still a shareholder of the Huo Corporation. However, as a shareholder, although he held 20% of the Huo Corporation's shares, he rarely interfered with the Huo Corporation's affairs. In the past few years, he had barely shown his face at the Huo Corporation. Perhaps many people had forgotten that he was a shareholder with no presence. Huo Corporation's 40th anniversary celebration? Huo Chenhuan's hands, which were hanging on her lap, subconsciously tightened. A part of my shares was transferred to Yan, right? Yes, you transferred 100% to young madam. Huo Chenhuan smiled. This was the first time that Zui Yanbai had seen Huo Chenhuan smile so happily other than when the two of them had gotten married. But at that time, he had only felt warmth from her smile. Now, her smile made him shudder. What? Yan and I will be there for this year's celebration. Zui Yanbai's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly understood something and smiled faintly. I understand. I will arrange everything in advance. Okay. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.